I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. Just, I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it no more.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
You just killed a fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
You're happy because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. You're happy because you got nothing. Lomito! Got nothing.
I want to get out. I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA boxing.
Welcome everybody to the Boxing Podcast, broadcasting to you live from the True North. Yeah, it's your good friend Mr. BDA, flying solo for the moment. And this episode, we're gonna be talking about a jam-packed Saturday night we've got coming up. And so, let's get right down to it. It's gonna be Lomachenko Nakatani. We're gonna have Tank Davis versus Mario Barrios on pay-per-view. Good little undercard on that one as well. Nothing that's really worth the price in my opinion, but hey, you know, if you can watch it and if you want to watch it and you got the money to watch it, why not? So we're going to be watching that. We're going to be taking your phone calls as well so that you can comment and give us your predictions on Lomachenko Nakatani. Later on in the week, we can also talk a little bit about the past week that we had with Charlo, but we're not going to get into it in this episode. Or maybe we will, I don't know, depends. And, maybe down the line too, during the week, we'll be watching some Barrios versus Tank Davis clips, because I do believe Davis is he might come out the winner, and you never know, but he might encounter some difficulties in that fight. Shout out to everyone in the chat: Rafael Garza, the Straight G Turo, Iceman, Pajak, Combat Elite, Blue Collar Sport TV. We got L-Dog in there, Neil Simpson, and many more to come, I'm sure, fellas. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to hit the like button. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already, and subscribe as well. And sorry, but I'm checking a little something here. Like I said, we're going to be taking your phone calls. See what else happens. And where was I here? All right. So yeah, listen, I'm going to invite a couple of people here. And if anybody wants to call in, I'll open up the phone as soon as possible. Oh, wait a minute. Are comments being deleted? I certainly haven't deleted anything. So hopefully it's not the dreaded YouTube moderators doing that. All right, where was I here? Let me go live here. And listen, so let me put up the schedule here while we're at it. With the weekend's fights. Brown Gun says, drop a super chat to see if it works. Yeah, drop a super chat, man, and I'll reimburse you just to see if it works. All right, so these are the fights that we're going to be having this Saturday. It's going to be a nice, interesting Saturday, like I said. We've got Lomachenko versus Nakatani, or as I like to call him, Nakatomi Plaza. The fuck is this? Rob Brand versus Janibek Ali Makanuli. I don't know how you spell his name. He's one of those Eastern European fighters who's got less than 10 fights and they're rushing him already. Rob Brandt, tricky fighter, throws lots of shots. So it's going to be an interesting one to watch here. Again, just because these Eastern Europeans have glossy records and glossy amateur records does not mean that they will make it. That they will make it as a professional. All right, that's just the reality of it. And we saw that this past week with the guy that what was his name, the Bully. His nickname was the Bully against Rosado. Oof, beautiful right hand. And then, of course, we've got the title fight between Barrios and Gervonta Davis. On the undercard, you got Erickson Leuven versus Rosario, a.k.a. Banana. Akhmedov versus Argenis Mendez, who still has a little something in the tank to make things interesting. Akhmedov, as you can remember, was the guy that gave Barrios a very tough fight. In fact, a lot of people felt he should have won that fight or gotten the decision. And then you got Carlos Adames versus Salazar, which was added rather late, I believe. So at least these two fights here. Again, it's going to be $70 the pay-per-view. I don't know if it's really worth it for a lot of people. I know the fights are going to be interesting, or at least they are on paper, but you really want to pay pay-per-view fees for that? I don't know. All right, hold on a second. Trying to adjust my earphones here. All right, what else was I going to say? All right, so I'm trying to open up the phone lines here. Give me 2 seconds, I'll be taking. And then I want to get into the whole Nakatani Lopez thing, because I was watching a little bit of that preview that they do there on for Top Rank. I can't really get into these pay-per-views, these previews anymore. What do they say? They just say, I feel great. They show them training. They talk about their past fights. There's no real insight, as far as I could see, in that preview. But one thing that was interesting in watching that preview was the fact that they seem to be pushing Lomachenko. They were talking a lot about the shoulder. So right there, they're trying to build a backstory to that and a bit of an excuse to say, hey, listen, if the rematch happens, there's that X factor, which is what if Lomachenko goes in with a healthy shoulder. Also, a lot of people are speculating the fact, the possibility that maybe Top Rank, since Lomachenko never became a mainstream star, maybe they wanted to throw him under the bus a little bit. And since Lopez is the younger guy, and he's a power puncher, he's flashy, they said, hey, you know what? Maybe let's give the win to Lopez, and we get ourselves a star. Now they're realizing that Lopez is kind of difficult to deal with. So they might be saying, you know what? Let's hedge our bets here and have him fight Lomachenko again, and see if maybe Lomachenko we can work something off of him. But again, it's kind of hard here because Lomachenko has to get past Nakatani first, and that is no guarantee. Hold on a second. Let me create a group here because I'm trying to get a couple of people in. Don't forget, all phone lines are open, fellas. So go ahead and hey, wait a minute. What's going on here? Come, I can't. I'm trying to call people here. By the way, let me check the phone lines. Okay, phone lines are open, fellas. So don't forget to jump in. Let us know what's up. Give us your opinion, your predictions for this Saturday's fights. And we'll try to get a little something going. Cook with oil, as I like to call it. All right, creating a group. What am I calling here? Okay. All right, so let's read a couple of comments here from the chat before I get into the fights already. Claudio Monreal says, stop it with the shoulder crap. Teo was injured also. Teo was injured. What was he injured with? The toe? Certainly Binder says, Loma still lost faith and square. Okay, I don't understand that comment. Claudio Monreal says, Teo is American. He isn't going to settle for low pay. Well, of course, he's not going to settle for low pay, but I mean, it depends on, if he's not a big name and he can't draw a crowd, why should he deserve to get paid what he's demanding? I mean, it just seems to me like some people just don't understand how business works. Just because you're talented and good does not necessarily mean that you deserve a payday. In a perfect world, yes, but this is a business, and it seems like people just don't understand that. I mean, look at Teofimo Lopez. Vasyl Lomachenko. He never became a mainstream star, and I've yet to hear a story where he's haggling for bucks, for shekels. So I guess different people, different types of character. Trill Bolin says, yeah, Teofimo had a foot injury, then he did a backflip right after the fight. I mean, hey, listen, it is what it is, I guess. Kenshiro says, if Loma smokes Nakatani bad, that will hopefully open the doors for him. Well, you got to respect Lomachenko. I've never understood that the hate that Lomachenko got. I mean, some of the same people that hate Lomachenko are Wilder fans. And it's very bizarre to me because why do you root for a guy like Wilder who acts in a very abrasive manner outside the ring, but you hate Lomachenko, who's never really shown any type of, abrasive personality outside the ring? I just really don't get it. The only thing that comes
is this rhetorical?
All right, we got Jimmy. Jimmy, how you doing?
What's up? I just had to jump in. That has to be you're just being like facetious, right? Like, geez, I wonder what it could be. I guess a statistical anomaly. Nah, bro, it's fucking racially motivated. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, and fucking people can suck my balls if they think I'm fucking making that shit not what it is, but it is, dude. I mean, listen, I go on Twitter, dude, and all you have to do is look at 95% of the avatars of people who just eviscerate, just cut up Lomachenko for stupid shit or say stuff that isn't factually true. Oh, he ducked this dude for years. It's just, and you always look, and it's the same demographic, non-stop. Like you said, the Wilder fans. And it's just a reflection of society, and I'm not trying to bring up that fucking ugly end of the world. I'm just saying it is what it is. And if people fucking at least aren't honest enough to fucking say that, then I don't know. I got nothing to talk to you about.
Yeah, I wish people would come out.
Saying. You know what I mean?
But
it's just gets tiring.
I wish people would come out and say, look, listen, I don't like him because of skin color. I wouldn't mind that. I mean, I wouldn't mind it to a certain extent, obviously, but I would be like, all right, listen, hey, that's on you, man.
Be honest.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you said, listen, he's from Ukraine, fuck that, man. I'm an American person. I could even buy that. But we know that's not the fucking case because it is, listen, there's a statistics, Pew fucking graphics. We've gone over it. About 75% of blacks consider race very to extremely important part of their identity. That's just 100,000 blacks, right, were asked in a Pew research, and 75% said very or extremely important to their identity. Whites was 15% out of 100,000 said it was. So it's a reflection of society. It's become that way, even if it wasn't before. And I don't blame black people because race is being jammed down their throat 24/7. They're being told white people are the problem for everything in the world. Again, I'm not trying to go down that path. So how it would be after a while hard not to say, you know what? Bam. You know what I mean? But This started creeping in sooner. We saw it. And the fact, and what made it even worse was Fury. And Fury, to his fucking credit, when that imbecile tried to make it about race, and of course Wilder bit it and said, oh, they can write whatever they want on this is, this shouldn't happen to Black History Month because now they're going to be able to write it any way they want, leaving it not basically, he was saying they can write it any way they want, meaning put the racial spin on it. And Fury right away is like, race has nothing to do with this. It's a fucking, boxing match between two men, to his credit. You know what I mean? And it's just, and it was that way from his fucking Uganda costume to the whole bullshit song sung. I mean, he was pushing that narrative, So, of course, his fans, when he loses, are going to fucking get nasty. And you see it in their posts. You see it in their videos they make. And white people, because the last thing we want to be called is a racist, because we spend our whole life making sure we don't judge people by the color of their skin, because it's a cowardly, immature, stupid, redneck way to do it. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden have that lobbed at you, like so freely, just, geez, I'm not a fan of Al Hammond. How racist? Well, of course you'd say that because you don't know me. You know what I mean? It's just to go to that. And again, dude, I get wound up because it's like, and to see it into the sport that my family has given blood for. I mean, I have a great uncle who's on the cover of Ring magazine in 1936. You know what I mean? My family's been in and around this game since its almost conception. And to see what's happening in this country, because when I was a kid, right, it wasn't black or white, it was American. It was definitely more nationalized. But all my heroes were Marvin Hagler or Alexis Arguello.
Listen, don't do that. Don't do that whole. Well,
no, but I know. I'm not. Listen, I never try to do that. I was saying it as in the mindset. Believe me, I wasn't trying to. I'm not a racist because I like these guys. Because again, anybody can suck my dick.
Jimmy,
if they
my
want to
thing
think
is
I'm
this.
racist.
My thing is
But-
this: rock out with your cock out. That's what I say. You
Bingo.
saw that. You saw what the board of directors told us to do last week. We're in the month of going into the build up to Wilder Fury. All types of, what was it? Race. Class 4 bigotry is allowed from here until that fight. So, fellas, do what you gotta do, man. I don't give a fuck. I'm just saying, I don't understand how some people can hate Lomachenko, really hate him, but they're fans of Deontay Wilder. Like, I don't get it. One guy does crazy shit outside the ring, and you're fine with that. The other guy is quiet outside the ring, and you hate him. I can only assume that there's something personal going on there. By the way, we've got, let me just get Boxing Chief in here before we get to the phone calls. Chief, are you there?
Yeah, hey, how you guys doing?
How you doing, man?
Chief, what's up, buddy? Sorry for the long rant, dude.
That's all right, Jimmy. You're speaking. You're speaking certain truths, and we'll leave it at that because I'm here to talk about boxing. No disrespect intended. Thank you for having me on. It's an honor as always. What's the subject tonight, gentlemen?
Well, we're getting into the Lomachenko-Nakatani fight, which is quite interesting because Lomachenko demanded this fight. He said, "Look, give me a tough guy. I don't want any tune-ups. I don't want to." Because again, people they love to bring up the what was the name of that British guy? That Crolla. They bring up Crolla, but they forget that he was supposed to fight Comey, but they had to replace Comey because he got injured or something. So
something along those lines. I don't have all the details in front of me, but yeah, this narrative is very familiar.
Right, his intention was never to fight Crolla, but he's just the guy that he had to put in front of him at the last minute. So he said, "Let's go with it," and he took him out with aplomb. Before we continue on that subject, fellas, and we are going to be using the clock here so that we don't go too long into this subject. Let's go into the phone calls real quick. We got somebody waiting here. 612, can you hear us? 612, you're on the air. Hold on a second. Yeah, I can hear you. Guys, can you hear him? Go ahead, caller. See if they can hear you.
Hi everyone.
Hello.
It's a dangerous fight for Lomachenko, and hopefully he makes it through. It's a duo. I feel it's a do or die fight for him. But the good thing is Nakatani is not somebody. He likes to get in the pocket and fight rough. So it may play to Lomachenko's advantage, but Nakatani is still I think he's very strong-willed guy, like he showed in the Verdejo fight. And as for Davis and Barrios, if it goes to the scorecards, I think they're building up Davis as their star, so it might they might just give it to Davis. But if Barrios fights a disciplined fight, he can win this fight. And just in regards to Fury versus Wilder, Fury is going to win, but I hope at least Deontay Wilder manages to break Fury's nose for screwing up the Anthony Joshua fight.
Oh, why do you're always very specific with the injuries you want fighters to be inflicted or to suffer rather. That's very bizarre, but I like it, man. I like it. By the way, what's your prediction for Loma Nakatani? How do you see that fight going?
Yeah, I'm going with Loma, but I won't be surprised with an upset.
Oh, all right. Well, there you have it. So it's going to be interesting.
He is a good caller, man. You always do bring it, brother. I appreciate your calls, dude.
That's right, man. Well, listen, we got to move on, but thank you for your call.
Thanks to everyone. I'd really like to thank BDA and the entire team for breaking down the fights and your analysis.
Thank
it's
you,
really
man.
great to see that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Glad you enjoy them, man. Let's go to 917. 917, you're on the air.
Hey, what's up, BDA? Shout out to the panel. Shout out to the fans. Nice to be on.
Thank you for calling in, man. What's on your mind?
What's up, brother?
Oh, I think, wow, I can't wait for this fight. You know, it's going to be a good fight. I think Nakatani, from the very beginning, he was underestimated against Teofimo. That's why people acted all surprised that he did good against Teofimo. He was once again underestimated when he fought Verdejo, okay? And I was hyped when he knocked out Verdejo. And now I want him to beat the crap out of Lomachenko so bad. I really hope it happens. But, you know, I think Lomachenko, he's still the favorite. Right? He's still the favorite. You know, it's as he should. But I'm really for Nakatani, you know, heavily.
Well, you like Japanese fighters? please don't tell me what you're an anime fan. That's.
Oh no, it's more like I have beef with Lomachenko, not with him, because it's really not his fault. Like he goes in there, he does his job, right? He has no control of what people say about him outside the ring. But it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth when he lost to Salido, he lost to Lomachenko, and people are trying to say he's number one pound for pound. I know that's not Lomachenko's fault. He did nothing wrong. He's doing his job. But, just people just overhyping him, just made me not want to root for him. And that's why I'm rooting against him now.
But Carl, can I say, probably you're a younger gentleman, probably younger than 30, just by your voice. I could be wrong. But you weren't, you got to understand, for years, guys would be number one pound for pound, or the consensus favorite with 10 losses, 12 losses. This whole, it's a Mayweather era thing with he's got a loss. The reason why he's got a loss, like Stephen Edwards said it the best, he's got a loss because he's faced more top-end talent than most free guys will in their career. 13 out of 16 opponents were current or ex-world champions. I mean, that's insane. Like, it's never been duplicated. I mean, it hasn't happened. Josh Taylor did some impressive stuff, but the level of competition he's fought at, like, for instance, somebody tweeted out the other day the number of Hall of Famers, people in the Hall of Fame who Loma was 13-1 or 13 or 12, 11-2 in world championship, in that type of a level of fight, right? All these Hall of Famers, 2-3, 3-4. There's Loma, 11-2. Like, Breadman's like, he's a historian of the game, right? And he's like, people just don't understand what this kid has done. So because we become used to it, listen, Takayama, go down, take out Corolla, you go down his last 6 fights. That's better than anybody fucking Davis has even thought about fighting. It's just, it is what it is. So, you know what I mean? It is. We become used to him fighting all the way like this, and we can't control what people say about him. But his talent and what he has done in professional boxing, I've been around this game for 40 years, and I've never seen something, well, close to 40 years if you think about it. I mean, I'm throwing some years in to give myself a little knowledge. But you know what I mean? No, I was a little kid, dude. I was at Boston Garden against Hagler fucking Teofimo 2. I mean, you got to watch that shit on YouTube. I was there my fucking 16th birthday with a fucking Woody. And fucking my granddad took me, God rest his soul. But, but again, because I was the grandson of all of them who really loved boxing. So I had that connection with that gruff old man.
Let me get to the caller here, because you dislike Lomachenko because the media overhyped him. And like you said, it's not his fault. But I mean, but you even though you recognize that, you still root against him?
Yes. I recognize and I will acknowledge that he is set apart from the other talents. I will acknowledge that. I'll give him credit for that. But as a fan, I'm more of, like, I want to watch his fights just to see him lose. I don't want to watch his fights to see him win. That's just how I feel. I can't help that either.
But I don't understand why, though. Like, if you understand
that it's not... watch him lose.
Right, but what I don't understand is...
I can kind of, like, prove the fans wrong.
Caller, I understand what you're saying. Caller, I understand what you're saying, but like I said, you recognize that it's not him that's saying that, it's the media. So why don't you root against the media and just criticize the commentators and all that, instead of going after the guy who's just fighting the best at everyone they put in front of him and he's not doing any talking? I don't get that. That's what I'm saying.
Because I think it's funny, like, when Teofimo beat him, to see the meltdown, just look at the complete meltdown and the delusion of people. The delusion was on par with the Wilder's delusion, where people saying, but the Teofimo won because top rank is some type of a conspiracy. It's just the meltdown. It's just hilarious. And if it happens again, the meltdown would be just as funny this time around.
So you're rooting against. So you're actually got a problem with the fans. You just want a guy to lose to piss off his fans, is what you're saying.
Exactly. And I feel
so wait a minute. Doesn't that say? Doesn't that say something about you though?
No, but you guys do the same thing to Wilder fans, though. You want to see Wilder lose to make fun of his fans, no?
Hey, I respect his honesty.
Jimmy, hold on. Let me just say this. Jimmy, hold on. Let me just say this. Caller, the difference is Wilder is an unlikable character outside the ring. Whatever you think about his fans, it's Wilder is a problem. Your situation is you don't like Lomachenko's fans, so you want the guy to lose just to piss off his fans. That is bizarre, in my opinion. And I think you're not being honest. And I don't think you're being honest about your dislike for Lomachenko. But look, listen, I'll take you at your word, and keep rooting against Lomachenko. That's
if you're gonna accuse me for not liking Lomachenko because what you guys said there's some type of underlying prejudice, no, I love white fighters. I'll say it like that, bro. It has nothing to do. There's nothing wrong with this dude because of his race. Absolutely not. So, right. But it's literally, I just want to troll the fans. That's all. Lomachenko, he's not appealing to me like that. He's if you're a pure boxing fan, you recognize his skill. But I don't know. He doesn't have an effect on me. That's
right.
How I feel.
Well, he gave him.
May I ask?
He did say he was the best. Sure.
May I ask a question? Caller, does it seem as he doesn't have that it factor for you that just kind of appeals to you to cross anything past his skill level? Is that what you're kind of saying?
Yeah. Okay. From an entertainment perspective, it just doesn't do it for me. I understand you're good, but I don't know. I know there are a lot of worse fighters than him that I have more fun watching. You see what I'm saying? They're way worse fighters than him. He's better than a lot of people.
I'll tell you why I think this guy, which by the way I think it's David from New York. Maybe I'm wrong. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's definitely from New York with that accent.
Right, but to say that he's not entertaining. Can't remember the last time Lomachenko was in a boring fight. I mean, see, that's where I'm starting to think maybe the caller's not exactly. Maybe you're not telling us exactly, or you're putting it in the correct wording here. But anyway, listen, to each his own. And I'm gonna take that quote where you say you only root for white fight. You love white fighters. I'm gonna take that quote and I'm gonna spread it all over the internet.
I really do. And listen, sometimes I go against. I'm contrarian just to go against people. Okay, I go into the black channels and I tell them I troll them, and I come to you guys sometimes and I go against the narrative sometimes. That's kind of what I do.
Are you from Brooklyn? Are you Brooklyn or Queens? Hey, call it Brooklyn or Queens? Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, listen, we got to move on. We got other calls. All right, listen, thank you, David. We got other calls. Thank you for your calls. Thank you for your point of view, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Yeah, thank you guys for being a good sport.
No problem, man. All right, CJ just subscribe to the channel. CJ. All right, let's go to 470. 470, you're on the air. 470, what's on your mind?
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Absolutely.
All right. Lomachenko. So it's very interesting. I see Lomachenko. He's almost like a victim of his own ambition, right? So he comes into the game and he's just taking on, good fight after good fight. I mean, he's taking on champions. He's taking on top contenders. I even went to one of his fights in the DC area. But I think I'm just trying to be objective here on what the issue some people have. I'm a black dude. I like Lomachenko. I watch all his fights. He's entertaining. But I think what it is some of these announcers and some of the people in the boxing media, the hype and the way they talk about this guy like they've never seen anybody else throw combinations or have footwork in the history of boxing. It just becomes kind of excessive. I think it's that, and obviously there's racial issues everywhere in the world. So there are some people who look at him and see he's white, and yeah, there's some people who feel that way. But I genuinely think that some of the way that the boxing media, some of the sports media, just they were acting like they have never seen. I mean, you listen to them talk like they've never seen a skilled boxer before. That's the way they were talking.
The words that I got wasn't the fact that they'd never seen a boxer before. They said they'd never seen anything who moved like him before. So, caller, if you will, can you draw a comparison between Loma and some other fighter that you recall from any years past?
Well, he has his own unique style. I mean, I'll give him that. But
that was their point.
I've seen exceptional footwork and ability from Mayweather, from Pernell Whitaker. We've seen it from Sugar Ray Leonard. I mean, the list goes on and on. Roy Jones, the list
they
goes
didn't move
on
like
and on
him.
and on. It's just the way they were acting. Like it's almost like the history of boxing was obliterated by Lomachenko. That's just the way.
Carl, you gotta understand too. He came in with like almost 500 wins as an amateur. That has never happened before. He came in and he did change his whole. When he came in, he was still fighting too much like the Olympics. That loss to Salido was the best thing he ever had. But again, if you look at, the people who really fawn over him the most are guys who are fucking maybe either fighters and shit like that. Because like my boy Mickey watches him. He says to his mouth to him, he's like, dude, it's just yes. All those guys you just said have their something they do great. Lomachenko, offensively, defensively, his balance, his footwork, he makes Rigondeaux fucking world unbelievable. Boring as fuck, but a great, phenomenal boxer. Straight, so baffled, he quit. I mean, he retired Walters. I mean, this is incredible shit he was doing right out the gate. And I understand, listen, it's human nature, right? And I'm not going to lie, when he first came in, I kind of disliked him because I'm like, I didn't like the fact that he was coming in already going for a title right away. I'm like, you cocky little fuck. And the whole race thing never even occurred to me in the beginning because, like, I have more in common with you than I would with any dude from the Ukraine. You know what I mean? So I never made that connection. But anyways, go, caller.
I see the comments that I'm not a Lomachenko hater. I've watched all his fights. I even attended a fight of his in the DC area. I'm just trying to provide like some feedback, or I guess try to be objective and see what the other side is coming from. But I agree. He had a great amateur career, 2 gold medals. I saw his fight with Rigondeaux. I mean, that shocked me. And when I first heard about him, when I heard what he did to Gary Russell Jr., which was an absolute shock to me. I couldn't believe that somebody actually did that to Gary Russell Jr. But I do think that, you know what? He's a great fighter. He's got great talent, but let's just calm down a little bit. I just feel like some people need to calm down a little bit and just kind of have some balance.
To me, that thing about, because again, I am generally curious, and I've asked this to other people on other channels about, well, what's your beef with Lomachenko? And that's the one thing I hear the most is, well, it's because he was overhyped. And again, I'm thinking, how's that his problem? What's he supposed to do? That's the job of promoters and broadcast. And let me just say this too as well. ESPN is currently doing something similar since they started broadcasting fights again. And you can see it with Shakur Stevenson, since they can't build off anything off of him really because he's not offensively proficient. They have to build off the whole narrative of his around how good defensively he is, and they can't stop gushing over him. But even in his last fight, they hit a limit. I mean, Tim Bradley, who's usually always fawning over footwork and technique, this time he said, look, this was boring. So that's what the broadcasters do. Now, with Lomachenko, like Jimmy said, quite interesting that this guy was moving around fighters, but at the same time being aggressive. That's why I understand why people can't differentiate that from the hype that the promoters do. But then at the same time, they root for Deontay Wilder, who, as far as I see it, is quite an unlikable human being outside the ring. So that's the disconnect to me. And that's why when people tell me, well, I root against Lomachenko because he's overhyped, doesn't really quite make a lot of sense to me. But hey, people can root for whoever they want for whatever reason they want. I just question it because it seems illogical.
And BD, he also said, right, which is strange, he said, I saw he beat this guy, I was shocked by that, and then he beat this guy, I was shocked by that, then he beat Russell, I was shocked by that. Think about that. How many other fighters are shocking you 3 times in such a short period? And again, I can understand all his fans or whatever making you angry, but you got to appreciate what this man has done.
No, definitely appreciate him. I wish more boxers were like him. It's he just taking on the best fight after fight after fight, but I don't know. That's just something I kind of sense amongst some boxing fans with Lomachenko. Mm-hmm. What the issue some of them have. I don't have that issue with him. I'm definitely going to turn into his fight, but I was just trying to, kind of.
Well, listen, caller, before we move on though, you're curious to hear your prediction about the fight this Saturday between Lomachenko and Nakatani. Who you got in that one?
On the Warpath. I mean, I don't see what Lomachenko has unless he gets a rematch with Teofimo Lopez, because it seems like these other guys are pretending like Lomachenko doesn't exist. Tank Davises, some of these other who are the other guys? I can't think of them off the top of my head. The quote unquote four kings or whatever they call themselves.
Yeah.
They're all pretending Haney. They're all pretending like Lomachenko doesn't exist. So I'm thinking that Bob Arum probably wants to put these two back in the ring. For a rematch, Teofimo and Lomachenko. So, but I think definitely Lomachenko wins the fight this weekend.
All right. Well, listen. Thank you for your call. Call back next time, and we'll catch you in the next one. All right, man. Thank you for your call.
Yep.
Take it easy, man. All right. Now, before we continue, don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. I see the infamous CJ already subscribed. That's going to be a lot of trouble and a lot of drama as well. Before we continue, we get Gonzalo and Recognize on the Discord. Fellas, you there?
How you doing?
How you doing, Recognize? Recognize is grilling some pancakes to put some fucking ice cream under, some waffles and syrup.
No. Today I had some sausages, paws with eggs. All right.
Oh, there you go. Okay, that's better. And Gonzalo, how about you, man? I see you're still posting those videos that you were lucky enough to be in Pacquiao's training camp these past couple of days. How's that been? We're having Gonzalo issues again. Gonzalo, we can't hear you for some.
Somebody asked Gonzalo, why didn't he go in the ring with Pacquiao? Gonzalo says,
can you hear me, BD?
Yeah, I can hear you
now, brother. He throws too many punches.
Go, Gonzalo.
Yeah, hey, how's it going? How's it going, Mr. BD? No, it's been pretty fun.
Good for you, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna head out there tomorrow too.
How does he look, brother?
I mean, it's just the beginning of training camp, so it's all right. I mean,
does his legs look fresh? Does he look like he has snap in his feet? Like, does he look like he have old men legs? You know what I'm saying?
They never stop moving, so that's impressive. So I'm just keeping an open eye, and it's been pretty fun. I'm just gonna continue listening.
All right, Gonzalo, man, keep taking photos of those calves, man. I want to see how strong, tight, and ripped they can get.
Keep us an update, dude. That's awesome, dude. No, that's a privilege for you to be in there, brother. Good for you.
Yeah. It's considering that you have to get past through a convoy of military people just to see the senator. I mean, because he is a senator.
That's right. He's a senator on top of him.
Hey, by the way, let me get to a super chat because I already missed one and I can't go back to see it for some reason here. Fuck. All right. Shout out to the person that donated. I think it was Michael Stock or somebody who said that they were happy to be listening to the show. So thank you for the first super chat. I forget who he was. I think Michael or it was one of you guys. Sorry. Shout out to Del Boy, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. He says recognize the cholesterol. Recognize that. You know what, man? Fucking, you're gonna end up on his. Hopefully, you end up on Del Boy's other channel, man, with the fucking snuff films and everything like this. You gotta stop
I got
eating,
some
man.
stories for him, man. I gotta pitch him some stories that I would like for him to cover.
All right, so shout out to Blue Collar Sport TV. Check out his boxing channel, Blue Collar Sports TV, and Disturbed Reality, which is his non-boxing channel. Quite disturbing. I can't really watch his second channel. It's not. I'm too much of a pussy to hear some of the shit he talks about there. Those snuff films and all that. Ooh. All right, let's go to the phone lines real quick here. We got 347. Hold on a second. 347, you're on the air. 347, what's on your mind?
What's going on, BDA? There's been a lot of short bus talk recently, with the last few callers right now. A lot of Lomachenko hate, man.
Uh-huh.
And what I'm going to say right now is, Lomachenko is a great fighter. I think, He did duck a few fighters, but he's a great fighter. But Nakatani's gonna knock him out.
Oh,
name one fighter he ducked.
Yeah, I would like to hear that one.
He hung up. That's what he does. He makes his
point. He drops his opinionated 2 cents that he has nothing to back it on, then he hangs up.
Well, that's how it's supposed to be done, by the way. Make things move a little faster. No, but anyway, shout out to him. He gave his prediction, and we'll see what happens. We got more phone calls here. 256, you're on the air. 256, what's on your mind? I mean 956, you're on the air. 956.
Hello, man. How's it going? Hey, good fight coming up. Nakatani Lomachenko. I think Lomachenko wins the fight by stoppage late. But let me talk about Lomachenko and his TO situation. I keep on hearing. I'm gonna say this. I'm not a rematch type of guy unless it's a draw. TO clearly won to me. Loma doesn't deserve the rematch because he ran the first 6 rounds. Okay, you can't disrespect a fight like that and run half the fight. And when he did turn it up, it was a pretty even fight. In the rematch, I actually think Loma might win a rematch, but I don't think he deserves it because he ran. And Teal's getting better and better. He's getting stronger. He's getting bigger. I don't even think Teal's going to be able to make 135 in the next couple of months or years, I should say, because I was watching him in the training camp versus Cambosis, and he was looking big. I even think the fight got called off because he couldn't make weight. And they, hit it with the COVID thing.
I heard. Caller, I heard the same thing.
Well, Steve Kim actually went on record on Instagram saying he actually has COVID. So if that means his reporting integrity means anything, then the man's really got COVID.
Turn up the cycle too.
Or he got tested. No, or he had a positive test.
Yeah, you turn the test. You do 100 cycles. You do 100 cycles, and then you find COVID.
So I'll say this. Lomachenko is he more skilled than Teal? Definitely, 100%. But naturally, Lomachenko is 130. Naturally, Teal is about 140, maybe from 147. Right?
I agree with that.
Too big, too strong for Loma. Each punch Teal landed, in the first couple of rounds. I mean, you've seen the body shots he was landing when Loma was trying to get the angle he liked to the right, and she would pivot and he would land the body shot. That shit was picking up Loma's whole body, man. And I think, look, if Lomachenko really has the balls in the rematch, if it does happen, and actually takes the fight to Teal, like he did in the second half of the fight, he could win. But does it happen? I don't know. Teal's too big. And look, this is boxing. This isn't the NBA. We don't need a 7-game series to see who's the better fighter, all right? I don't like rematches unless it was a draw. Lomachenko was too cocky. He didn't worry about the rematch clause. Whose fault is that? It's his fault. He doesn't deserve a rematch.
That's not
deserve a rematch.
One at a time. Jimmy, go ahead.
I recognize. Oh, what? Yeah, whatever.
Jimmy, go ahead. Jimmy, go ahead, Jimmy.
All right. Okay. First off, it was Teofimo Lopez who demanded a no clause. It wasn't Lomachenko. He wanted one. Teo wouldn't fight if there was one put into it for whatever reason. And to prove it, to say even more, I don't think he'll even fight him again. I think he's, like you said, I agree. He's too big. There was always a bunch of talk him having a hard time making weight before. He's a big dude, wide back. But, again, he did produce a positive, the paperwork to say he has COVID or whatnot. Again, people are buying those now to get out of the shots, but I don't even want to go down that ugly road. But, I don't think it's going to fight again myself. I just don't think Teofimo, he's going to jump to 140 and just not fight him again.
Lopez should have just said, look, I identify as vaccinated. Let's go ahead with the fight this Saturday. But I guess he doesn't have the right type of manager or anything. Listen, caller, before we move on, let me ask you this. Who do you think wins this Saturday between Lomachenko and Nakatani?
I already wanted to say before we end the call, man. I was in your Discord, but you kicked me out because I was saying Loma fans make a lot of excuses like fucking Wilder fans. And listen, you fucking banned me because I fucking beat your ass in a debate in your own fucking Discord. So go fuck yourself, bitch.
Oh.
He's a little troll. That's all it is.
Wait a minute. What was your name? Oh, he hung up.
He hung up.
I don't understand.
He's just a little troll. He just wants to get his little fame.
Look.
That's
this
all
guy
it is.
says he doesn't like rematches when it comes to boxing. He doesn't like boxing. Jake LaMotta and Sugar Ray Robinson fought 6 times. How many times did
rematches happen all the time? He just doesn't.
How many times did Archie Moore and Ezra Charles fight?
Okay. Rematch means that if they run it back,
listen.
If they run it back, there's a good chance that Lomachenko revenges that. That's
exactly. And that was his reasoning, dude. He even said it. Remember, he slipped in there. He goes, I think if they fight again, Loma will probably win. Because his dislike for Loma's hate, and obviously that whole bizarro way he hung up the phone. Like, you guys are pussies, bye! But fucking, dude, that's what it was. It was driven for that, dude. That's
all right. Let me say this. First of all, if you get banned from a Discord, I've been banning a lot of people lately because there's a lot of trolls. So if you're trolling, you can't really complain if you get banned. Second of all, if you're this angry, calling people bitches because you got banned off the Discord, I'm afraid to say, and I don't like to say it
was the right thing.
No, but I'm afraid to say if you're complaining about that, then you're the bitch because you got banned off a Discord. Get over it.
Victim of the modern age. Poor girl.
I mean, I gotta tell you, these new generation of people, man.
Poor little me. I got banned off of Discord for talking
How
shit.
are you gonna survive the coming race war if you're getting mad because you get kicked off of Discord? I don't get it, man. This is insane to me.
Fucking DDA is spicy tonight.
Yeah, we're getting, like Gonzalo says, this is a spicy show. We gotta make it spicy. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And if you wanna drop us, and if you wanna drop a super chat, go ahead, Gonzalo. What are you gonna say?
I was just gonna say I got that from Bucho.
Oh yeah, it was Yeah, you're right. Butch is the one that says, he likes his fight spicy. Or no, what is it that he says? A fighter has to be spicy, like he has to have a. He has
French.
to have, Italian. Yeah, in Italian, he was talking about
Italian.
All right.
Spanish.
All right. Now, in terms of the Nakatani versus Lomachenko fight, let me tell you something. Nakatani, I was rewatching the Verdejo fight. Verdejo put on a killer performance in the first 3 rounds, but then. Like he was trying to. I think those 2 knockdowns that he caught Nakatani with were the worst thing that could have happened to him because he was just looking for those knockdowns again the whole way through, and he was loading up on shots and he was missing, and every time he missed, that was taking a lot out of him. If Nakatani goes after Lomachenko, I think Lomachenko is gonna acquiesce and say, "Oh, you want to fight on the inside? Let's fight on the inside," which is really not gonna favor Nakatani. I think Nakatani is gonna try to keep the fight on the outside. Lomachenko is just going to do what he did against Pedraza and Campbell. And I think actually Lomachenko would actually benefit from Nakatani going after him. But again, I don't think that's going to happen. What do you guys think? Do you think Nakatani is going to try to fight off the back foot? And can he even do that?
He's going to try to look for some range. That's the best thing for him to do, being that he's almost 6 feet tall. And he's got long arms. That's the best thing for him to do because Lomachenko wants to take that away from him. Obviously, and he's more likely, very capable of doing that. I just wanted to say real quick, like, what's not to like about Lomachenko? If you're a boxing fan, that's the key, boxing fan, right? I mean, he's going in there against a guy that has a chance to beat him. I mean, Nakatani just knocked out Verdejo. He gave Teofimo Lopez a good fight. Why wouldn't you want to see, why wouldn't you want to root for a guy? Win or lose, doesn't matter whether he wins or lose. As a boxing fan, to say, man, I got to give this guy some credit because he goes in there and he puts his reputation on the line. He's putting his skill level and saying, okay, I'll fight the best guy. He's coming off a loss. He had a surgery. I'm sure they could have found, if he really wanted to, I'm sure he could have found a lesser opponent than someone like Nakatani at the 135 division and fought that guy. No, he's going to go in there and he wants to fight Nakatani and prove that he's still capable of competing and even beating guys at that level. As a boxing fan, I appreciate that.
But recognize the same people that accuse people of this panel or in general other fans like Lomachenko that they don't like him because this, that, or the other are the same ones that say, well, you don't appreciate good boxing because you don't like Devin Haney. They're not real boxing fans. These are casuals that think that they know more about boxing than everyone else, regardless of how much we do or don't know. We're just fans also. But they'll ridicule anybody else that doesn't think the way they do in today's crazy society.
Well, you know what? Every time we want crazy people to call in, we usually try to do a Wilder show because we know that's going to bring out the crazies. But the Lomachenko subject brings up, because I haven't seen this type of lunatics. Well, not lunatics, but real deranged people. Because again, you can tell by the fact some of the calls we're getting, some of these people aren't boxing fans. I mean, you get one guy that says he likes to troll and he roots for fighters just so that his fans bitch and moan afterwards. Then you got another guy afterwards who pretends to be a serious caller. Then at the end he goes, I want back in the Discord. Ain't gonna happen, amigo. And again,
it just fuck you.
it just seems to get people. Lomachenko gets people riled up, and I gotta assume it's not because the media hyped him up. I gotta assume it's because of something else. Now, at least though, the people that say that they dislike Lomachenko, I can respect them a little bit compared to the people that say, "Oh, I'm a Lomachenko fan," but secretly they hate him, and then as soon as he loses, they start coming up with excuses about why they dislike him. Oh, he didn't embrace Lopez after the fight. He's making excuses, blah, blah, blah. Like, look, just say you dislike Lomachenko and we can move on from that. But these secret Lomachenko haters, it's like, to me, they're like secret homosexuals. Just come out and say you're gay and you like to suck dick already. It's the 21st century. You'll be a star in no time if you say that.
Yeah,
but
make a lot of money. You could set yourself up a Cash App or say, something like, donate to the gays, and you'll get like $1 million.
There you go. All right, listen, we got to go to the phone lines here. Oh, hold on. Gazelle, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say real quick, this is
an interesting
take your time,
matchup
because Nakatani's big, and remember when Lomachenko used to drown out fighters when he used to make them quit? Then all of a sudden he had a hard time pulling the car out of the driveway when he fought Teofimo. He started too late, in other words. Well, against this guy, he's tough. He's tough, so if anybody's going to go the distance, it's Nakatani, and it's not the perfect matchup for him to shine. If anything, he's going to have a hard time trying to drown this fighter out like he used to if it is the Matrix Reloaded. So we'll see what Lomachenko brings, if he can bring and put this guy through the ringer and get him out of there. So, I mean, I'm interested to see how he performs.
Yeah, because that's a good point, because even when guys go the distance against him, he tends to put beatings on them. I mean, even Lopez, those middle rounds, they were looking rough for the guy. He was getting his head snapped back, but he's young, he's strong, he's skilled, so he's able to make it. But a lot of these other guys, like Campbell and Pedraza, man, they took a beating, and they almost got taken out. So, yeah, Nakatani is not safe either, man. Both guys are in a little bit of danger in this one, which is what makes it such a good fight. Let's go to the phone lines real quick. Let's go to 858. You're on the air. 858. What's on your mind?
Hey, how's it going, guys? So, for me, I think most of you guys who've been calling in are just Loma haters. I mean, they're hypocrites when it comes to their fighters that they like. They use the I guess reverse argument, but when it comes to the rematches, I think Loma deserves one because Loma gave Tio a chance to fight him. He didn't have to give him that chance, So Loma had more of a risk. So I think in turn, if you give someone a chance, they should give you a chance. I mean, he should have put in the contract or whatnot. But I think with him and Nakatani, though, the fight, I think I could see Nakatani probably getting dropped and then him making a fight of it, and it'll probably go, at the distance. If not, possibly like a TKO with Loma kind of breaking him down. So I see that's how that might go.
Well, let me ask you this, though, because we got your prediction. So now I'm curious then. Let's say Lopez can't make weight or struggles to make weight for the kombucha fight more than ever. And he says, you know what? I can't make weight for this again. Or if I want to stay at 135, or if Top Rank wants me to stay at 135, rather, they got to pay me a lot, and instead he moves up to 140. What do you see the options being for Lomachenko if he stays at 135?
I mean, Loma, he's going to have to go for, one of the other, I guess, big names as far as, Haney or who else. I mean, unfortunately for Loma, I mean, he's just a naturally smaller guy. He's going to probably have to move up to chase a fight, because I don't think any of these other guys are going to go down to fight him. So for him, unless he wants to, wait for someone to come up, an up and comer. But I think Loma, at this stage of his career, he's only looking for big money fights. So we love to see him against Haney, or any of these other guys. But you can see a lot of those guys are just naturally bigger, and they're going to be moving up, pretty soon. So. I just don't know who else Loma has left.
Yeah, well, listen, we'll see, man. I mean, he's never really made a big deal of making troublesome negotiations. So if he wants a fighter...
I'm willing to bet that if Teofimo was to say, look, I'm interested in a rematch with Lomachenko, but it's got to be at 140, I bet you Loma does it. Whether it'll be a big mistake or not, he'll still do it.
Oh yeah,
That's the difference
you think about it. I mean, Yeah.
That's the difference between Lomachenko and a lot of these fighters. Whether it's
Right.
authentic, and I think that's what it is. It's authentic to the competitiveness of the sport, or he just has no choice. It doesn't matter. He will do it, right? Because he's one of those guys that didn't come here to pad up his record, and that should be obvious. If he did, he'd be fighting much lesser guys, especially after coming off a loss.
Well, they're eventually going to have to fight him anyway
yeah.
because I just looked at the ranking. Go ahead, caller. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just saying that's why, you know, a guy like Pacquiao, you know, in Loma, they're like one in a billion. You know, these guys are, you know, throwback fighters that, hey, you know, they'll take on bigger guys, or, you know, the top guys or the younger guys. But you just see these young guys have all this talent, but they're too scared to get because you know that'll ruin their whole persona. So
yeah, unfortunately,
that's all I got.
Unfortunately, the media overhypes Lomachenko, so we can't like him for that. But listen, caller.
I mean, Gary Russell too. Lately, he's been making noise again. He says he wants to go to 135. And although I agree with recognize that Loma would want to, and would probably just out of anger do it. But what would stop him would be the fact his father would probably have nothing to do with the corner, and that he would get absolutely destroyed at 140.
Yeah, maybe his father. No, and I agree. Like, look.
Oh, I know. Yeah, you and I have talked about
it. This would be a mistake.
Big mistake.
More likely, it'll be a mistake. But if he had everybody on board and they're like, "Yo, listen, let me do this. I can fight this guy at 140. It's not a problem."
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's on board. They're like, "All right, fuck it, let's do it then." He will do it. He would absolutely do it because he doesn't have the privilege with his age, right? And the reality of the promotion of hyping him up. The reality is, if that was the case, that there's this bias hype for Lomachenko, he wins that decision against Teofimo. Absolutely, in my mind, he wins that decision against Teofimo.
Yeah, caller, go ahead, and then we have to move on, man.
Oh no, I just said that's all. I just think, you know, I real quick at Thunderdome. I know Tony, and you know, his older videos, he's always talking about how Eastern Europeans have kind of been discriminated against, you know, America with refs and judges and promoting and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's all you got. It's gonna be some good fights, so can't wait to see him.
All right, shout out to you, man. Thank you for your call. Shout out to Thunderdome too, by the way. He's still he's still streaming out there like past Saturday. All right, shout out, man. Take it easy, man. Thank you for your call. Catch you in the next one.
Call.
All right, let's go to the wild card. Oh, but before we do that, shout out to Cameron for his contribution. That's Cameron Gillen, by the way. Shout out to him.
Cameron. What's up, kid?
Cameron. And shout out to Get These Hands, who says, I disagree. Via the super chat, he says, I disagree. Lopez punches harder than Loma, and even he couldn't hurt Nakatani. Pretty risky fight for Loma. He struggles with taller, lengthy fighters. Well, that's what we're gonna see. This.
Well, I like the fight. That's one of the reasons. Yes.
Yeah.
I like the fight because actually Lomachenko could lose this fight. He could.
Can I ask you guys, who doesn't struggle with long, tall, lanky fighters? I mean, it's not too many people, excel at that.
Can I ask you something, Jimmy?
Yes, sir.
Jimmy? When have you ever seen? Keep that in mind. What you just said. Who doesn't struggle with long, lanky fighters? Have you ever seen somebody criticized for taking on a dangerous opponent, like right after coming out after a loss, when the guy has a history
as much as him,
of
it's
taking
insane.
on? Yeah, it's insane. This is insane. This is not real boxing. You could call me
to be called him a cherry pick. This kid's a cherry pick.
And by the way, I like Nakatani too. You know why? Nakatani doesn't have the privilege to nitpick. It's like, okay, boss, you want me to fight him? I'll do it.
And he's got that Japanese warrior culture mentality.
Yeah, so,
and he is a fucking warrior. You're going to have to knock him out. You know what I'm saying? It's going to have to be a lot of shots.
Well, hopefully Lomachenko goes to the body, because I mean that's what he did against Pedraza and Campbell, dropped those guys with body shots. So there's body work to be done against Nakatani, which is something that neither Lopez nor Verdejo did. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Hold on a second. Let me go to the wild card here. We got a wild card number, so it could be a wild call. Let's go to 111. You're on the air. 111. What's on your mind?
No, it's going to be boring. It's going to be boring. How's it going?
The fuck is this, Mark?
Yep.
What's up, kid?
Yeah.
Wait. Please tell me you're not getting charged long distance. You're on Zoom, right?
Oh no, I've got 3 minutes. I've got 3 minutes on Skype.
All right, well, go ahead. Oh, okay. So you don't. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're not getting charged long distance for this.
No, I've got like 2 months free.
Fantastic. All right.
But as far as this fight goes, am I the only body who's paying attention to where Nakatani's punch resistance might be right now? I don't know. I haven't heard many people talking about it. But after the Teofimo fight, he came out with a fractured eye socket, right? And then after that, he went to the hospital, retired, came back. He got dropped twice by Verdejo, another fractured eye socket. Now, I'm just saying, I don't think Verdejo hits as hard as Teofimo, but he managed to drop him twice, just based on speed, but then he started to slow down. Those shots weren't hard shots. They were quick, snappy shots that landed on him fast. And then I'm just genuinely curious what your guys' thoughts are on that. I think the dude's punch resistance may be waning now at this stage. He's off 2 back-to-back fights. I don't think Verdejo hits as hard as people make it out to be. He couldn't even drop Lozado, who got fucked up by Fortuna.
You know what?
What do you guys think?
Yeah, who wants to take that one?
I think Verdejo hits at least as hard, if not harder. I'm talking about, just one shot at a time, punching power, than Lomachenko. But when you talk about volume and doing it consistently, it's probably Lomachenko because of technique. Now that could be a problem. That's something to look at. He has been in tough fights back to back, like Mark just said. There was he just mentioned the Lopez situation with the broken eye socket, and he had to go to the hospital. Same thing with Verdejo. These are great points to bring up. What makes the fight, whether or not, okay, the question is, what do we think about him taking an onslaught from Lomachenko?
As far as the punch resistance goes, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So Lomachenko starts teeing off on him. He starts working. He started getting his rhythm. Something to pay attention to that could wear on him. What he's got on his side is size. He might not. It might not affect him. And here's another thing: we don't know. I love Lomachenko, man. He's a great fighter. I'm an admirer, but I don't know. Is he breaking down? Is that shoulder shot? When he starts working his rhythm in a real fight, does it go out again? These are things that we got to ask ourselves. This is why I say, Mark, I respect fighters like this that do this, that that they take this hard road when they can clearly do something else. Nakatani has no choice, right? He's like, look, whoever you want me to fight, I'll fight. Lomachenko, a guy who has choices and still says, all right, I'll fight that tall dude. Maybe he's breaking down, but boy, if he's not, I could be in a tough fight, and maybe I'm breaking down. So
I saw it like this. I thought Verdejo was looking good on his comeback, and Nakatani refused to wilt. So I don't think he's got quit in him, and he's gonna put up a fight because he's also on the warpath, just like Lomachenko. You see, so I think it's gonna be an excellent fight where these two guys are gonna come to win. These are the fights I like.
And but to his to Mark's point too, with Nakatani, this kid's been. It's not like he just developed that style. He's been using his fucking head as a backstop forever. You know what I mean? He's always walked in face first, and in all his fights, even if guys he's destroyed, I'm sure teed up on him. So that does happen after a while. Metal. It's like I always say, your punch resistance like metal. You keep bending a piece of steel. I don't care how strong it is. Once you bend it in a spot, it bends easier again in that spot. And every time you bend it, it gets easier to bend until it finally goes. And that's the same thing with punch resistance. Once that starts going out on you, it's very quick. So it is interesting. And obviously, the body work will be essential there. That big, long torso, just begging for liver shots. And that will chop the fucking him down faster than anything. But just want to throw a real quick shout out since we're on a Japanese and we're talking body punching. Inoue, that's the nastiest set of body punching I've seen in years. That dude is a technician. That poor prick won't be fucking fighting for months without passing blood. Holy shit. Anyway, that was my
That's your fun. I like how you described that. You won't be passing gas without sharding blood. Oh man.
Right, dude? Holy mother of God, that was vicious.
Yeah, he did it with 3 shots. But that's a great question by Mark. Yeah, I mean, these guys got little question marks going into this fight. They definitely do. I still favor Lomachenko, but he
They're
could
both
lose.
33 also. I mean, is it going to is that more of a hit on Lomachenko for having almost 500 amateur fights? I'm exaggerating, I know. And then every professional fight has been 12 rounds or a world title fight. Is he got more mileage on him or not?
You know,
That's the question.
Look, there's a LeBron James is a guy I don't like, right? But here's what I
can't see why.
Yeah, I don't like him personally in terms of actually not even that. I just don't like how he sticks his ideology into the game and he's ruining the game. But to do what he did, year after year, off the back, going to the playoffs, playing that long, that many games every single year for over a decade, the guy is pretty fucking amazing that he still has a gas tank. I mean, it's emptying out, but that's still pretty fucking amazing that he has a gas tank like that. So correlate that to boxing. The same thing for Lomachenko. Go ahead, Jimmy. I'm sorry.
Well, no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean this. I was fucking edging in on it. But no, Lomachenko has his father. His father was a strength and conditioning coach, wrestling coach too, for the fucking Olympics, the Ukrainian Olympic team. This dude goes all the way back from the Red Army days. You know what I mean? The communism days. And I guess he's like a fucking crazy drill sergeant. And how you live outside the ring is as important as any training you do for your legs and longevity. The fact that this kid don't drink, don't smoke, eats I guess super strict on a diet. He's never more than 10 pounds out of fighting weight. You know what I mean? He's got a 6-pack all the time. Listen, this kid, you'll notice. I'd be surprised if his father, he'll notice it too. His father will pick up on it. I'm sure they do videotaping of it, and they can even use timers. They'll just notice things. And I don't know if they go back against a kid this big right off the rip, but again, that's just who Lomachenko is. It's just, but yeah, no. So that's my point on that.
All right. Well, listen, man. Mark, thank you for your call, man. We gotta move on, but we'll catch you later. Are you still doing stuff in your channel, or what have you been up to?
I've been taking a break, and I'll be back probably next week. That's all.
Fantastic. So, guys, stay updated
Thanks.
Take it easy, man. Stay updated on Mark's channel on Rival Boxing Talk. Check it out. He's gonna be posting. He's gonna be coming back. Took a little bit of a break, so shout out to Mark for that. Let's go to another phone call real quick. 956. You're on the air. 956. What's on your mind? 956 going once, going twice. 956. You're on the air, man.
You're right.
Going 3 times. All right. Maybe I think maybe we made him wait too long. Call back in 956 and you. Yeah.
Have some patience.
205. You're on the air. 205. What's on your mind?
What's up, man?
How you doing, man?
How you doing, man?
What's going on? This is Uncle Charles, man. What's going on, y'all?
Oh, Uncle Charles. Hey.
Uncle Charles, what's up, buddy?
Man, let me tell you something. I'm getting sick of this whole idea. So let me just give you my 3 predictions. I believe Lomachenko will win in a knockout. I believe Pacquiao will get stopped in the later rounds because of the body shots. Because the truth is the truth. I just want to make basically a comment. You know, the last call I called in and other boxing channels I went on, and people get real mad on who you pick in the heavyweight title fight. I just said Tyson Fury is the best. He might not be the best athlete, but he's the best fighter. What is wrong with me having my own opinion of Tyson Fury winning this next fight? I said Deontay Wilder haven't learned how to box going backwards. He hasn't learned how to go about going backwards, but he's going to find out. Let me explain something to you. I even seen in the chat I was called a coon, but then I should understand coon language. I just saw 2 coons on top of a garbage can outside, a female and a male raccoon. And if I'm a coon, I should understand coon language. I heard what she told that male raccoon. Get your ass in there and get my food. And he did.
Dude,
so I
that
want to
sucks,
just say this
brother.
to
Uncle
the boxing
Charles,
world.
let me explain
I want
something.
to say this
Those
to the
people that
boxing
call
world.
you a
Hold on, let him finish.
Tyson Fury will win this fight. Or by decision or knockout. I'm telling you, if he don't knock Tyson Fury out in the first 6-7 rounds, he's going to be in trouble. So my pick is Tyson Fury in a decision. I ain't taking it back. I don't give a damn, and I don't care. Now, I'm going to say this to y'all because y'all been so kind to me, and this has got to do with Deontay Wilder also. Y'all been so kind to me, so I'm going to deliver for you. You know, I was 8 years old when I was in school. I got bit in the ass by a German Shepherd. Well, the lady next door, next to my mom, she saw me got bit. My daddy took me to the hospital. I got 2 shots. Come back, she said, young man, come here. She said, I saw what that dog did to you. So what I want you to do is, I want you to come from school and come the back way. Don't come the front way. And at the end of the week, you come down that road on Friday, and you come in my door. And when you go through my front room, and you go out the back door, and I'll shut the front door. Well, just like that German Shepherd did, he saw me again. He started chasing me. I'm starting running, goddammit. I'm running and running and running. She said, come on, come on, come on. I went up on the step, went in through her house, went through the back, shut the door. She shut the front door, and all those cats jumped on that German Shepherd. They ate his ass up. Wow! When she opened the door, he jumped out there like somebody poured boiling water on his ass. See, what the German Shepherd didn't know is that he wanted some more. Before you realize where he was at, it was the time of the month for those cats. And that's all I gotta say, y'all. I love y'all. They're gonna switch up game plan on Deontay Wilder, and they're gonna beat them again. And then what we gonna say then? That I'm a coon then? Well then you just come on and I speak some coon language to you. And that's all I gotta say, and I love y'all, bro.
All right, thank you, Uncle Charles. Thank you for your call, man.
I
Take
have
it
a
easy.
feeling people that call him a coon wouldn't say that to his face, though. I've seen
Yeah,
Uncle
exactly. That's
Uncle
so
Charles is
fucking
big.
that's
Uncle
so
Charles,
disrespectful.
Uncle Charles is the big dude, so I don't think that. I have my doubts. They'll say it to his face.
And a nice little anecdote. A nice little anecdote there about sicking cats on an angry German Shepherd. That's how you do it, man. if you got angry dogs in your neighborhood, you better have a contingency plan to defend yourself against said wild rabid dogs. But anyway, listen, fellas. In regards to the Lomachenko Nakatani fight, Nakatani is not all that skilled. He's very wide open for a lot of shots.
Rangy,
But he's tall and rangy, right? Because, I mean, look, here's what happened in the Verdejo fight. Verdejo was timing him, but like I said, he kept trying to catch him coming in again with one of those big shots, but he started missing, and it was taking a lot out of him. He was also very unhinged, so he was wasting a lot of energy there. So Nakatani didn't as much outskill him as much as he just out-toughed him, and you got to wonder whether he can do that to Lomachenko, because again, Lomachenko might not be 100% yet himself with that shoulder and the fact he's getting older, and Nakatani can crack a little bit now, so we'll see. But I mean, I think the Verdejo fight could be a faulty metric by which to judge Nakatani off of. And again, Lopez, the reason why I think he's struggling as Nakatani was because Lopez is just not an inside fighter. He wants to fight at the distance. He's a classic boxer puncher. He wants to counterpunch guys. Yeah. And every once in a while, he'll throw a combo here, a combo there. But he's not a chase you down type of guy. I mean, look, even what happened with Lomachenko. I mean, I keep hearing this thing about, Lomachenko ran the first 6 rounds. Again, we got to watch, like we did with Usyk Chisora. We got to revisit that fight and debunk some of these narratives that are coming out. Because
that fight not too long ago. I watched that fight not too long ago. And, listen, I'm being honest. I'm just being honest. I can see if I was being more lenient towards Lomachenko, where I could give Lomachenko the fight 7-5 or something like that. Mm-hmm. I'm being honest with you, but again, that's me being lenient towards him, and the same thing for Lopez. So that fight was, what I'm trying to say is that fight was even, and I think the reason it was even, it was because what happened in the first 6 rounds, or the lack of Lomachenko's engaging in the first 6 rounds. I think if he fought that 6th round, okay, granted, he said it's the shoulder. Let's take him at his word that that's what it was. Obviously, he got surgery for it. But I think that if that wasn't the issue, I think my prediction and a lot of other people's prediction would have came into fruition, which was he either beats him 12 rounds, winning like 9, maybe even a knockdown, or probably even stopping him. But Lomachenko.
But that's what I'm trying to get at here, because look, it's kind of hard to take people's opinions seriously on this when they just want to troll Lomachenko fans. I mean, we just had a caller say that straight up. Says, it's not that I don't dislike Lomachenko, which again I find I disbelieve that in a little bit. But he also says I just want to troll Lomachenko fans. So why should we take your boxing opinion seriously if you're just going to be saying things to troll people? Look, listen, when people say, for example, well, Lopez whooped Lomachenko, how do you whoop a guy when he's on the defensive? You can't really hit him cleanly. And then when the other guy turns it up on you, you can't do the same thing to him. In other words, how come Lopez couldn't do what Lomachenko was doing to him in the first? You know what I mean? So that's not what I call a whooping. But
exactly, Lomachenko fucking did nothing for 6 rounds. Was it the shoulder? Well, it's between him and God. But when he turned it on and slapped it into 6th gear, there was fucking Lopez with his 5-speed. Oh shit, he didn't have another gear. And if it wasn't the late ends of the fight, like say if Lomachenko did that in the first end, and they were fresher, who knows? But I'm telling you right now, there's a reason Lopez didn't want a rematch. Just remember that. There's a reason. Because he knows he's turning down more money. There's no fight out there that he would have made as much money from Bob, right, than Lomachenko. So he's turning money down to fight other people.
Hey, Jimmy, I was looking at the fight at the second half, right? Something that I paid attention to. When Lomachenko was catching him with a lot of punches, I kept looking at Lopez's face. You ever saw a dog when they're fighting with each other, when the dog kind of submits, but they'll still giving the other
losing. Yep, you see his eyes.
It still gives him the mean face, but it's not fighting back. That's what he did.
Yep.
The mean face is on, but the eyes are really wide and the pupils are dilated.
Yeah.
Yep.
He was doing that.
That was definitely happening. I was watching that the other day. The people that say that Lopez was putting on a whooping are the same type of people that think that that didn't watch the rematch between Mayweather and Castillo, which Mayweather clearly won, but they say, he whooped him in the rematch. Define a whooping. Winning by 3 rounds is not a whooping. Winning 7 rounds to 5 is not. You won by 2 rounds. That's not a whooping. But people don't. They just watch the narrative. They get the decision. They don't know any of the ins and outs of the science of the fight, and they put their opinion down like they think they know any more than the judges they're sitting ringside.
Yeah, that's the thing though, because a whooping is, Barrera Hamed, right, or Salvador Sanchez, Wilfredo Gomez. That's a whooping. That's when you beat a guy down, and right, or Hopkins Trinidad.
Sanchez versus Lopez, Danny Little Red Lopez. That was something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, Hopkins.
Or NUA against that kid this weekend.
Yes. By the way, if you can't tell, I'm pretty high in anyway.
Oh yeah, that performance was fantastic. But yeah, so the thing we gotta glean from this is we'd like to see a rematch, but there was no rematch clause, so there's no obligation for Lopez to do it. But now here's the tricky thing, and I asked Steve Kim about this. When Lopez and Tom Prang were having that fit. And of course, then Steve Kim had Lopez over at the 3 knockdown rule. They were talking about his future. So Lopez has options with Top Rank. He could stay at 135 and rematch Lomachenko if Lomachenko gets past Nakatani, which is what it seems like looking at that preview that Top Rank did on YouTube for the Lomachenko-Nakatani fight. They're really playing up the shoulder angle. Sort of like to try to butter up fans and say, hey, listen, fellas, the selling point here is what if Lomachenko was really injured in that fight and what if he shows up 100% in the rematch? But they also got options by having Lopez move up to 140 and fighting Josh Taylor, because Josh Taylor has been doing a lot of jawing about Lopez. He says he doesn't like Lopez, and he just came out and said that, I got the article here, he said that he thinks Lopez is insecure and that because I think Lopez said, Taylor is ducking me, or something to that effect. Let me look up the article. But what do you think about a potential Teofimo Lopez versus Josh Taylor fight? Can Lopez have success at 140 against Josh Taylor, considering the fact that he was getting backed up by Lomachenko?
I think so, yes, and it's because he'll be more comfortable at that weight. I think eventually, if they move him towards 147, he'll turn into Danny Garcia. Skills will stay there, but the pop won't be there because the guys will be bigger. But at 140, I think he can carry enough pop to wear people down and get Chavez type knockouts of wearing him down and stopping him late. Not necessarily explosive knockouts he had at 135, but he hits hard enough, he's strong enough that he hurts people. Those punches will hurt, and it's a simple addition. How many more can you take? 1 + 1 + 1 equals a swollen eye, a broken jaw, and some bruised ribs. Not necessarily against Josh Taylor, but I mean, at that weight, I think he can beat Carlos Ramirez. I think there's some contenders he can beat, and he and Josh Taylor will be the fight to see there.
Yeah, so they got options, right, fellas? I mean, if they put him in against Taylor,
of course they got options because he can go to those weights. I mean, he's like the other caller said. You know, he thinks that he's at least 140, at least 140 pounds, and so, but like Jay said, there's going to be bigger guys there, and I could see some guys. I could see a few guys in there at the top level that will have a lot of success against Teofimo.
Yeah, because like Jay said, look, there's two sides to that coin. He could go in there stronger because he doesn't have to shed weight anymore, or he could turn out a little bit like Danny Garcia, where the power at that higher weight class just ain't quite what it used to be at the lower one. Now, it's interesting.
When you're hitting bigger bodies, I'm sorry, BDA, when you're hitting bigger bodies and they're not reacting, I question guys like Teofimo, how they react as a boxer in that ring, because sometimes it can be discouraging, you know. It's one thing fighting guys that you know you're bigger than and things are not working out. You just keep trying, right? You just keep trying. And if it goes to decision, okay, fine. It goes 12 rounds. But when you're fighting bigger dudes and you're hitting them with your best shots and you're not really getting the same effects, and they're hitting you with big shots and it hurts a little bit more, it'll be a litmus test to him, you know, where he can go from there.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because Josh Taylor, he can make it ugly too, as we saw in the late rounds against
Josh
Ramirez.
Taylor would beat him. Josh Taylor would beat him. I put my money on that for sure. Yeah.
Right. Well, I'd like to see Lopez in there against some of the other lightweights, but if he can't make weight, he can't make weight. You know. So what do you want from us?
Yeah, I think it's convenient for him to use the. That's my personal opinion, is that he can't make weight. I don't say that he's definitely big enough, but you know, the weight thing became an issue. You know, once he was interested in fighting Lomachenko, and then I won't fight you unless there's a rematch clause. All that stuff. That's when it became an issue for him.
Is he one of the dudes? I can't remember. Did he lose his belt on the scale once?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
There's so many kids recently. There's so many. I didn't know.
He's always made weight. From the way I understand it, he's always made weight when he had to. You know, like, I don't know. Maybe you guys know. I never heard of him coming to the weigh-in and he had to shed some more weight. I never heard that. I could be wrong.
Bizarre.
No, I never heard that. Now, you guys have heard me mention my friend from Kentucky before, who's got all those boxing videotapes that he and I have been talking offline, and we were all asking before the Lomachenko fight and around the Comey fight on how much longer he can make 135 due to how thick he is because of his size. He's not tall and lanky. If he's tall and lanky, I definitely think he'd be starving himself. He's short and stocky, but he's lean. If he had any of that baby fat, that loose skin, that James Toney build to where you can tell he's in shape when he was at 160, but there wasn't a lot of muscular definition there. That looks like, you know, you can trim off some more and still make the weight. He doesn't have any of that. He's got a washboard stomach. He's got delts. He's got a deep chest. So there's not too much places he can be able to take weight off to still make 135. So I've been questioning for, you know, about 3 or 4 fights now. It's not, and it's just coming to the mainstream now, but I've been wondering about his weight for a while due to the fact he's 23 years old and he's pretty stocky. So,
well, that's the thing, though,
because the narrative may be coming to light now, but I've already been asking that question before myself.
Yeah, we heard the rumors.
He eats a lot of muscle. I'm sorry, I was going to say he doesn't lose fat. The last few weeks at his camp, he probably sheds 12 pounds of muscle.
Yeah, we heard the rumors before the Lomachenko fight that he was having trouble making weight, and that the Lopez fans were like, "Nah, he's making weight very easily." And then right after the fight, they go, "Well, I don't know how long he's going to stay at 135 because he's having trouble making weight." So I'm thinking that's what people were saying all along. It wasn't concocted out of nowhere. That rumor. He's a big dude. Steve Kim said it himself. He's bursting at the seams, and you know he talked to Lopez personally, so I think he's got a little inside knowledge there. But the weight now, with that being said. if he moves to 140, I'd be a little bit worried about Top Rank maybe giving Josh Taylor more of the edge when it comes to the scorecards, because the whole Lopez versus Top Rank thing, I think it left a sour taste in Top Rank's mouth, and they said, look, if this guy's going to be this difficult to do business with, might as
Bob
well
always get you back.
Maybe, but at the same
I'm
time,
just busting stones.
Long-range investment, Taylor's 30 and Lopez is not. So if they can, find a way to extend and keep long-term deals going on, even though they may be long-term deals, like maybe 3-4 fights at a time, that's your better investment if he can win, because then he's going to be king of that division. Ryan Garcia is eventually going to go up there. Tank Davis, I think, should have been there a long time ago, and that could have been some of the problems. We think he hasn't been dedicated. Tank Davis was 19 years old when we started talking about him. He's 26 years old. He probably should have been at 140 2 years ago. Devin Haney, according to Steve Kim, is busted. He doesn't look like it because he's tall and lanky, but they say he's drying out to make 135. So this is a division that if he can take over and hold all the belts, if Josh Taylor doesn't move up and vacate to where they get to pick him up individually, if he gets to hold all the belts, they control everything for a long time. It's a lot of money to be made because that's a lot of big fights at guys that'll be at their natural weight classes.
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting point right there, because he's a young guy, and if marketed properly, he could be a big draw. Maybe not mainstream, because again, that's pretty difficult to do, but he could be a decent draw. But just right now, the type of money that he's asking for, it's just not reflective of where he's at in terms of his Q rating. Before we continue, shout out to Texas Bulldog Boxing for his contribution with the super chat. He says, I put $80 on Nakatani at plus 650. All right, that's a good bet there, Texas. That's a good bet. You never know. Thank you for your contribution, man. And, real quick, Jimmy. Real quick.
Oh, okay.
And shout out to Johnny Mush for his contribution with the super chat. Johnny Mush says, whoever Johnny Boy picks, I'd seriously consider going opposite. He's a jinx. Oh, Johnny Mush. Well, I mean, that's an acidic comment to make, but hey, it's your opinion and you're paying for it, man. So shout out to Johnny Mush. Johnny Mush sounds like a real party pooper, man. Let me tell you that much right now. Sounds like the type of guy that just goes in there and you got to lock him in the bathroom because he jinxes fights himself. You never know. A little bit. Hey, stop breathing on me. Breathing on me. But anyway, that's a little still a reference right there. Sorry, Jimmy, you were going to say something?
No, I was going to say that also, if it's not even weight, a couple of things with that COVID thing, too. That could have been an easy, it's an easy out. I mean, to get a COVID slip, it's nothing really. Come on, let's be honest. But to put a fight off, I mean, it's perfect to put a fight off. And why else would they put a fight off another month? Because we talked about that, would be the ticket, or was it not looking like pre-sales, or I don't know, maybe they needed more time. Because I'm sure Thriller isn't going to want to lose money on this. I just don't think they're going to make their money back.
Well, it's been done before. If you remember, Vander Holyfield, Riddick Bowe 3 was scheduled for pay-per-view. Tyson was going to be on free TV on the same day. And conveniently, all of a sudden, Tyson got a broken thumb to where he had to pull out of the fight against Buster Mathis, a fight that day everybody knew he wasn't going to lose because everybody was going to go see Bowe Holyfield 3 because we knew what that was going to be. We knew that was going to be a war. It was going to be an entertaining fight. And that was pay-per-view. It wasn't free TV. So they still canceled it due to the fact that a free fight wasn't going to get the ratings that a pay-per-view fight was going to be. So
Tyson Buster Masters was on Fox, right? It was on Fox.
It was supposed to be on Fox both times, but it was originally supposed to be in November, and they pushed it back about a month, I do believe, claiming it was Tyson's broken thumb. They never showed an X-ray. He did do a press conference with with a cast on his thumb, but it just so happened it was on the same night of Holyfield Bowe 3, and they thought they were going to win and people were going to leave. And when they back then you had to order the fight a week ahead of time. They could tell by the number of orders that were coming in for ordering it ahead of time that people were going to be watching that instead. So they pulled out. So this could be, I mean, no one knows for a fact if Tyson's thumb was broken or not. No one knows for a fact if they're using COVID as a masking to the fact that they're not selling enough tickets. We don't know. But it has happened before and excuses have been used for that.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. I mean, look, that's why I asked Steve Kim that when he called in. I said, I've been hearing these conspiracy theories. But like Steve Kim said, like regardless of these conspiracy theories, whether they're true or not, the fight's still going to happen because Triller made an investment and they won the purse bid, so the fight's going to have to happen. But it's not looking good for Triller, man. From what I've heard in the media is that Roy Jones and Tyson weren't all too pleased with the way the Triller card was handled. The Paul brothers aren't going to be fighting there anymore. Now you got Lopez, who has to go back to top rank after this Triller fight. So it seems like Triller, or what are they going to do? Put a 50-year-old Jennifer Lopez on there and make money off of that? I don't know. I don't know how financially profitable that type of business model can be to pay.
Well, they
to
brought
charge
back Michael Buffer too. That was another sign things weren't going right. Why would they announce that? I mean, remember, like a month before the fight was supposed to go, all of a sudden Michael Buffer's making his long. I mean, not Michael Buffer. Jesus Christ. Jim Lampley was making his ring comeback, calling a fight.
Yeah.
That's huge because they're paying him good. He's not doing that for fucking $5,000.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
No, he's getting paid, but at the same time,
Yeah.
didn't Oscar just solely sign with them, leaving the zone? Not to say that that's going to make or break them, but I mean, isn't that kind of like, okay, Roy Jones and Mike Tyson didn't like it, and they're past their primes, and like they're the geriatric version. Then the number supposedly did really well, so Lopez decides to try and give Bob the middle finger because they're going to pay him $4 million. Now everybody's leaving him. He's already stuck in a fight contracted with them for the way they're supposed to pay him $4 million from what people have been talking about. But there's no long-term contract anymore because they're not belly up, but they're not, the Paul brothers, like you said. Snoop's business with promoting the geriatrics isn't staying with them. So they were a quick hit deal. And now Lopez had to crawl back to Uncle Bob going, hey, look, I'm sorry, man. We can work something out. I don't have to get $4 million a fight anymore, but we can work something out. He had to eat crow for that.
And that's a good point, Chief, because imagine Teofimo Lopez and Kombucha, they do horrible numbers, right? He goes back to top rank. What's top rank going to say? It's like, wait, you wanted an increase in your pays, in your salary for shit paper? Or like, what do you bring to the table? Bottom line.
Well, yeah, they'll be able to throw that in his face and say, remember you were trying to hold us over a barrel for this because you beat Lomachenko? It's like he was trying to parlay that instead of using what it is, you know what I mean? And that's one of the reasons, too. If I was top rank, I don't know if I had the choice who I put my money behind. Because remember, if they could weasel something off and get a fight with the boy from England over there, they could get 60,000 people in Wimbledon. And Lopez just doesn't pull those kind of numbers here. And you don't know, is he stable enough? How long is he going to be around? That type of question.
That is a good question. I mean, long term, he's got the age to fight to 35. That's over 10 years.
Absolutely.
But if he doesn't have the
age is all in his side.
If he doesn't have the discipline, if he doesn't have the mentality, if he already thinks he's the big star, Mayweather thought he was a star coming out of the Olympics, but he had the dedication to stay in shape and always take every fight seriously, regardless of what I thought of him as a person or how he managed his career. He had the dedication to try and stick with it all the way through until his body wouldn't let him anymore. Does Lopez have that kind of discipline to stay in shape all the time, always for 17 years? Does he have it? Josh Taylor may not have 17 years in him because he's already 30, but we know that when England does open back up for major events, he's going to be selling 30, 40, 50,000 seats easy, fighting anybody. And so, and with Bob being the promoter, he gets to rank those pounds in. Rank the pounds, rank the shillings, rank the hay pennies, doesn't matter. He'll rank it all in, and he'll reinvest that back into his company and put it in anyway. And then anyway becomes a big star here. So he doesn't necessarily need Lopez. Lopez is just a longer return investment if they can stay on good terms and if he keeps taking the sport seriously. Because everyone thought Danny Garcia was going to take over the welterweight division. And I'm sitting back laughing at everybody else that said that because since I've been on the show, I've said he hasn't been a threat at 147. But his skill was there. He had a following due to ethnicity and a following due to style that people liked. Lopez is very similar. So, and he's young, so they've got that to go along with. The question is dedication and effectiveness.
Well, listen, first of all, shout out to everybody in the chat. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, hit the likes button, subscribe if you haven't done so already. I mean, look, when it comes to that whole mainstream success, Mayweather, I remember in 2003 asking people, when he was going to fight Victoriano Sosa, and I was asking some people that I knew that they weren't boxing fans. I just asked them, I don't know where, I said, hey, do you guys know who Floyd Mayweather is? They shook their heads with a look that said, who the fuck are you talking about? And then he fought Sosa, I think it was in Miami, and I think about 3,000 people showed up. It was horrible. It was a horrible hit.
He didn't sell out his hometown in Grand Rapids, Michigan against Carlos Rios in 1999. People got up and walked out on his last fight before he left Top Rank against Carlos Baldomir. He was a long-term build-up success, and he needed Oscar De La Hoya. He would not be where he is without Oscar De La Hoya, no matter how much he thinks he would be there. Without that marquee name to push him over the top, he wouldn't be where he is right now. Same with Manny Pacquiao, but Manny Pacquiao acknowledges that. The difference is Floyd thinks that he tells people he would have made it there anyway. The marquee success. Well, I'll just wrap up real quick because you guys know I can talk forever. But the marquee success, you do need a big market, eye-catching fight, and Lomachenko was the building block for that for Lopez, but it wasn't the icing on the cake. That was the eggs to mix in with the flour and the milk to put the cake in the oven. You still got to ice it, so you still need something else. You still need a rematch with Lomachenko or Devin Haney if D. Jefferson's right that this is the fight that fans are craving for. Bob does work well with Eddie Hearn most of the time, even with this burn that just happened. I think they can make that fight happen. Then make that happen. Then you build off of that. Then he can become the mainstream success. But right now, he's still a development. He was only a prospect 2 years ago. So we need more. You need to build more in order to build that financial success.
Well, that's. Oh, Jimmy, sorry, you were going to say something.
Oh no, go, brother. I'll say it after.
Yeah, to that real quick, to that thing about the mainstream success. That's the thing, though. Look, one thing that the Lomachenko haters are getting right is, they tried to push him, which is what promoters are supposed to do. They try to make this guy into a big name. He just couldn't catch on. For some, lower weight division, he's not a talker. Even though he's quite entertaining inside, he just never made it. So, if Lopez,
the reason why they pushed him,
but hold on, recognize real quick. If Lopez wanted to go into that next stratosphere, he needed to stop Lomachenko. You know what I mean? He needed to put that type of performance. The type of performance he put on, for boxing fans, it was convincing. Like, whoa, he beat Lomachenko. That's impressive. But for hardcore, not hardcore fans, but casual fans, they're like, all right, well, we want a little talking. We want him to beat somebody that we know, like Mayweather when he beat De La Hoya, or Pacquiao when he beat De La Hoya. Other than that, casual fans aren't going to jump in on that.
Yeah. And the thing about Lomachenko was that the reason why they were pushing him because he was willing to take these fights. So as a promoter, it makes your job a little easier. So it's like, okay, this guy's willing to fight these opponents that are, pretty tricky, tough fighters, that the champions or the ex-world champions. And he's willing to fight them. So it's easier to promote somebody as, oh, look at this guy that I got. He's pound for pound the best fighter. You throw the pound for pound in the title, and people start, catching on. Now, whether he was a huge superstar or not, look, that always that thing is always tricky. But it was still easy to promote the guy because he was willing to take these fights. And not to take anything from Teofimo Lopez, because his last 3 fights were pretty, pretty tough fights. It was Nakatani, what's his name, Comey, and then Lomachenko. So it looks like he's on the right track, but now he's changing his route, so to speak, right? He wanted the Lomachenko fight, he got it, he won. Now he's playing these little games where it's like I could make 135, I can't make 135. Oh, now I could. Now I want more money, and there's this whole fiasco going on. So Bob Arum is probably looking at him like, look, you know what? I'm gonna deal with you from here on out, but I'm gonna put you in tough and see if you can swim. That's it.
Good point, man. Yeah, good point. Listen, with the Lopez thing, saying that's the other thing. The chief mentioned that Lopez couldn't, whether he can make weight or not. He took his shirt off against Kombucha in the press conference. Said, "Look, because Kombucha said you can't make weight." So Lopez, to counter that, took his shirt off. Said, "Look at me, I'm ripped." That actually is worrying. Because like Chief said, he's already ripped. What the fuck is he gonna lose other than water weight in the build up to the fight? Yeah. And if you're dehydrating yourself,
he was at least 150 when he took off his shirt. At least 150, if not more. So
yeah, that's worrying.
He's a stocky dude. He's a stocky, athletic fighter. So I don't know.
Yeah, he loses muscle. Like I said, I'm not joking. 10 to 12 pounds he probably loses in muscle. But also with what was I going to say about Lomachenko? Like, even his win against Gary Russell Jr., look at how good that win looks now. Look what Russell has done. As infrequently as he's fought, he's the longest reigning champion in boxing, and he's pretty much dismantled everybody he's fought since then. And Loma beat him, too. I mean, just the list, it's incredible. It's just incredible. Like you said, any hate for him, it's either just because You know, and I want to say too, one of the reasons what really hurt him was his lack of learning English. And I guess he knows English better than he leads on, but he was just shy and embarrassed. And some guys just don't like to sound silly when they're talking another language. But that definitely hurt him, not being able to speak any English.
Well, it's interesting. It's because Chavez too. Like he was a big star in Mexico, but he wasn't a mainstream star in the U.S. And some people say, well, he doesn't speak English. But Emmanuel Stewart said that when he trained him, I think it was I forget for which fight it was, but he said, "Oh, the guy understood everything I was saying." Yeah. So it's interesting. Some guys like Margarito too. He understands English, but he won't speak it. He'll speak.
Yeah, they don't want to be embarrassed. They don't want to sit there and struggle. I mean, these are Type A personalities. Just beat them man half to death, right, in the ring, and all of a sudden the mic to your face. I don't okay. You know what I mean? Just that's like, you don't want to do that shit. Give me the fucking interpreter. I'll give you but I like because your heart's pumping. You don't want to have to start struggling with that. So I'm sure he could understand a lot of English. He just didn't want to have to battle fight. You know what I mean? Struggle talking it.
But you know who I hate? I hate those interpreters that are actually the manager. You know, the manager acts the interpreter. So he starts adding shit that the fighter never said. So for example, they'll ask a guy who's got a beef with somebody, right? And they'll ask him like, "Who do you want next?" I want, yo quiero pelearme contra Ramirez porque Ramirez ha hablado mucho. And then the manager goes, yeah, I want Ramirez because he's been talking a lot of crap and we're not afraid of anybody. We're willing to make the fight. But it's like, wait a minute, he didn't say all that. What the fuck are you doing? They just start adding stuff in there and it's just ridiculous, man. Get a neutral translator.
What I like is when they ask this long-winded question and the interpreter goes, it's like
one thing.
6 words, like in Ukraine or something. I'm like, wow, you condensed that real fucking small. But it's just funny because I think sometimes nuances don't, translate.
Yeah. The classic cartoon joke, a Bugs Bunny episode. Sorry, I was just chasing my dog. Bugs Bunny's on a Hawaiian island, and he says something in pidgin that's like 10 seconds long. And it's just, "What's up, Doc?" Then he just mumbles something for like 2 seconds, and it's like, "What are you doing here? I never saw you before."
Well, that's a cartoon, and sometimes life reflects cartoons, which is rather disturbing, if you ask me. I also like when the French interpreters ask "qui," and there you go. Whoa, what are they talking about? Yeah, who are they talking about?
And he looks like Trotsky.
Trotsky. Hey, by the way, we got Bucho on the line. Bucho, you there?
Yes, sir.
What's up, man?
Bucho.
What's up? I just want to talk about a caller said that he didn't like how Lomachenko was being portrayed as an all-time great, all the hype, and obviously, like, this is what promoters do, right? I remember Bob Arum's comparing Lomachenko with Muhammad Ali, and whatever. Point is, this is what these promoters and networks do. They hype up these fighters, and a good example of this was last Saturday with Charlo and Montiel. Before the fight, they hyped up Charlo, man. They had this like how do you call it, previews, looking into Charlo, who is Charlo, and they were hyping him up, and you have the epic music in the background, and then he fought like shit, right? So yeah, are we gonna hate Charlo because they hype him up? No, this is what they do with every fighter.
For the blown up welterweight, almost beat him up in the end.
Yeah, Charlo's stock definitely took a hit. Bucho, I agree, man. Yeah. That's not good. He walked away with his fucking eye all swollen. That dude got starched in 2 rounds by Munguia.
Yeah,
after welterweight though.
Yes, thank you, Bucho. At 147, that was almost 2017. That was a while ago. This guy's gotten a little bit bigger and stronger since then.
Yeah, right, but when you looked at him and you looked at the body frame and the head size and all that stuff, all the stuff that counts. You can tell he was a little man compared to.
Yeah, I was going to mention.
He kept it straight up. Bigger. Yeah, he walked in on a. Yeah, sorry.
No, you guys are right. Go ahead.
And Charlo's big cranium moving, snapping his neck back like that by this slimmer dude. That's not a good sign, bro. I'm telling you, it gets knocked out.
And then look at this, brother. His fucking fight before that, though, right? Remember, Charlo destroyed. Who's that kid he destroyed there? The fucking Sentio. The
Argentinian dude with the leg problem.
Centeno.
Yeah, I think the kid with the leg. Yeah, the leg kid was beginning with a H.
Right. You're right.
But
so Centeno, are we gonna hate on guys? Are we gonna hate on fighters that are hyped up by the mainstream media, by the networks or promoters? Are we gonna start hating on them because of that? No.
Well, that's a
no, that's a silly reason.
That's
that
what I'm
was an
saying.
excuse.
That's what I'm saying.
Now,
It's a
somebody
cop-out,
can make the argument that with Lomachenko they took it to the next level, but then again, I mean, Lomachenko, yes, they exaggerated a lot. These promoters, they like to exaggerate, but at the same time, let's not dismiss what he did and what he
Right.
has done and the way he fights and the way he makes fighters quit.
That's what I was talking about, Bucho, was that, the reason why they're promoting him is because this is the guy that's wanting to take the fights. It's easier to promote him, and then they throw, this is one of the best fighters ever, and stuff like that. His skill level is unbelievable to a certain extent. His skill level is one of a kind, but promoters do that, I mean, shit, would you be interested? Let's say promoter was selling girls on the street. This is my girl. She's average. Or like, hey, you want to buy her.
He's got bullet wounds, but things stinks a little, but you can do it. No, but into fucking, but he went life and death with Sento, that kid that just fucking took 12 hard rounds from Charlo. You know what I mean? Like, that dude fucking went life and death. I mean, so there's a reason why Vegas, what was it? It was insane. 4,000. He was a minus 4,000, and that kid was a plus 1,500. So, I mean, that's like putting $100,000 to win like $30 if you put on it for Charlo to win. It was crazy. It was almost double the odds of Inoue against his guy. So it's crazy.
Those judges clearly were not watching the last 4 rounds because they still gave every single round to Charlo, to Charlo, okay? So
it was
ridiculous. He won the fight, I get it, but the last 4 rounds were looking real shaky for the boy.
And then when he gets the guy hurt, the way he jumps in on people, he's like, it's spastic. It's almost like, wow, remember when he saw him hurt? It's like, whoa, he jumps in, he fucking completely takes away his distance. You know what I mean? Like, it was spastic. The problem is when you fight spastic like that, you're breathing choppy. You can't get back into a rhythm. It does take your legs away quick.
He was too overexcited, but Bucho wanted to jump in on something. I got something to touch on when it comes to this. But Bucho, you were going to say something, weren't you?
Yeah, just quickly, I remember what Mr. BA told me, and it's a good point about Golovkin and how he was criticized for fighting contenders. They were contenders in the middleweight division. But sure, you can criticize Golovkin's opposition before the Jacobs fight, but at least Jacobs didn't struggle like Charles is struggling now with fucking Montiel and Korobov. That has to have been taken into account. Golovkin was taking these guys out. Charlo, he's not.
Yep.
You're right. And Jimmy hit something on the head about how he's smothering his punches. When Charlo first burst onto the scene at 154, and he first won that belt against Brundage, he was supposed to beat Brundage. I wasn't impressed because he knocked Brundage out. He was supposed to win that fight. It's how he did it. He hurt Brundage with a shot. Instead of smothering his shots, he took half a step back and pivoted around to keep the punching range. He got too excited in this last fight because he really wanted to prove this point, and he negated everything. Now, a friend of mine keeps saying he loves Jamal Charlo, the one we're talking about, because he's a complete fighter and how he works the body and everything else. And that friend of mine is not an idiot, but he's wrong completely when it comes to this because Charlo doesn't work the body, and that cost him in this fight. He came out. He would stun him with a few shots. He'd follow up with shots that Montiel would block with his arms. He wouldn't set anything up with the jab. He wouldn't work from the body up. He didn't use the body to wear down his opponent. And this is a man who's 33 years old, who has quite an amateur pedigree and has over 30 fights, and he doesn't know, who's trained by Ronnie Shields and doesn't know this yet. So what point in time do you start to realize the fact that he is a very athletic talent and he can go places, but to call him an upper echelon, a boogeyman or anything else, off of the limited amount of what he's able to show with his boxing IQ is much more than a Johnny-come-lately that's not going to be the Hall of Famer, first-round ballot, undisputed champion. Because he should have been able to do that against this caliber fighter, and he didn't.
I tell you right now, man, they better keep him away, Charlo, that is, from 168 David Benavidez, because if this Montiel guy, like Reckon I said, tall, lanky, okay, he fought the fight of his life, but he was giving Charlo major problems. How's Charlo going to handle Benavidez, who's more skilled, quicker, and hits like a fucking mule? What's Charlo? I think Charlo gets stopped in that one, man. I know his stuff, he's got a good chin and everything, but I mean...
I know a lot of people dig into Benavidez, and rightfully so. Like, he has missed a lot. He's missed weight. He's lost his title because of I think he failed a drug test for coke, whatever, right? And I get all that. And all that stuff is a sign of a guy that's, partying a little too much. But that dude's a boxer, okay? When I say a boxer, that's what he does. That's his life. It's something that he takes serious. He may, he may have problems with weight, and he may have issues with like drugs here and there. But the guys, when he comes in there, he's coming in there to fuck him up. If he would have had him,
exactly,
if he would have had him, Jimmy, if he would have had him in that kind of trouble, the difference between Montiel and a guy like Benavidez is night and day, bro. It would have been a fucking nightmare for him. He would have stopped him. He would have stopped.
If Benavidez wasn't a professional boxer, dude, he'd be in the streets fist fighting. He's a brawler. He's a fighter. You know what I'm saying? Where Charlo would be playing pickup basketball. I'm just being honest. He's a great athlete.
You feel uncomfortable what you say around him.
Exactly. He'll give you a smack.
Yeah, because you don't know what would trigger him, and next thing you know, you guys are throwing hands.
Oh yeah, he's a fighter, dude. He's a fucking natural fighter.
Now I got something on the flip side that I have to say about Charlo. When I first burst onto the scene, it was how he beat everything. I also picked him to be my spin speeder because I thought he'd be there for a while because I was appreciative of his skill. That and the fact that he fought Montiel, if you really stop and look, there's no unification bouts on the table for him right now because of politics that is beyond his control. Maybe not his people's control, but beyond his control. The number one fighter, Munguia, was supposed to fight the number 3 guy, and he's already beaten the number 2 guy. This was the only real fight he could take at the moment. It was the number 4 guy. Everybody else in his title rankings was occupied in the top 5. This was the best that he could have, best opponent he could get. Now, I don't think he obviously didn't do well enough based off of the fact that he wants to be the face of boxing. This was not a face of boxing performance. But the caliber of fighter is what he could get. There was nothing else around for him.
Yeah, but Chief, didn't he hand pick him? That was like a hand pick. That wasn't a mandatory, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, the mandatory, Munguia, who was busy, and the number 2 guy he just beat his last fight, and the number 3 guy.
There had to be someone. There had to be someone out there. Better be someone. I think the dude was ranked 72nd in the world. So 32nd, 36th. So
it was ranked number.
Had to be somebody.
It was ranked number 4 by the WBC. So that was the only person. Yeah.
Well, I mean, but when you rank these guys, what is
that? I thought I saw a tweet where he was ranked 36th overall.
What does that mean today when the WBC ranks a guy like Montiel number 4? It means nothing. It's just this is a way to give Charlo a stay busy fight. They thought that it was going to be a lot easier. They didn't think this was going to be. Now he might have fought, in terms of competition wise, he might have fought like a guy that was ranked number 4 for the WBC. But at the end of the day, we know that that's just flicking around with the names. That's all they're doing.
But when you got a belt and you can't get a unification fight, and you got to fight something, and your number 1 guy's fighting the same day against somebody else who's fighting the number 3 guy, and you've already beaten the number 2 guy. Number 4 is the best thing you got offered. Is the best thing you got going in town, and that's what he took on.
Right.
So,
would he have fought a number 4 guy? Let's say like somebody tougher than Montiel. You know what I'm saying? If he had no choice, would he have fought that guy?
It depends on what the PBC can arrange. We know your point is what I'm saying here. Whatever the PBC can arrange. Obviously, Montiel was not a outside of the ballpark or outside of the that side of the street threat. So he, regardless of who promotes him, he was the next in line. So yeah, sure, we'll take him on. Now, if that next guy in line would have been J-Rock moving up, well, he's already beaten J-Rock, but someone of that caliber, right. I don't know.
That's a question. Right? Let's say Boots Ennis on the come up, but he's naturally 160 pounder. Are we sure he's going to fight that guy? I don't know. Well, I'll pass on that.
Al's not going to let Boots Ennis be ranked number 4 that easily for something.
Right, I get what you're saying, but if it was somebody like that, I'm pretty sure they'd be looking for other options.
They would have gone deeper, is what you're saying. The number 4. So okay, that's a point well taken. So I made a valid point for him. You've made a counterpoint, a very good counterpoint. But on a different note, I call into the boxing voice every once in a while, and it so happens that Andrade's dad was on. And I caught the end of that spiel when he was being interviewed. And he's like talking about how Charlo's eye was swollen. He says, "When have you ever seen Boo Boo's eye swollen?" One of you, he's just talking all this trash about how Boob was better than Charlo, and he would have knocked Charlo out that night. And it just lets me believe that sometimes dads need to not write checks their sons' bodies might not be able to cash.
Yes. This now I do agree with one thing with what Papa Andrade said, right? And that's I changed my mind. I don't know who wins that fight now. I mean, look, in reality, maybe Charlo still wins that fight, but dude, he was having issues, and why I can't believe, why wouldn't I say, if he's in that situation, he's in that condition the later rounds that Andrade can't have success against him, and that's all you need is to have some success. You don't know how that shit turns out.
Well,
Yeah, but here's something that we're overlooking. Montiel fought the fight of his life. He was very awkward going in there. He was willing to take the shots that Charlo threw, and that's why he tired him out as well. Andrade is not going to do that. Andrade is going to move. He's going to jab. He's going to try to catch him with counter lefts. There's two ways of looking at this. One, Kobrov arguably beat Charlo, but at the same time, Williams, or what was his name? Liam Williams gave Andrade a very tough fight, and Charlo is a lot better than Williams, and he controls the range better. He's got a mean counter right uppercut. So I don't know who wins that one, but look, Papa Andrade is saying that, my son would have knocked him out on that night. Your son was holding the last half of the fight against Liam Williams, so let's not be too cocky about what your son would have done against Charlo.
The fathers have a tendency to do that. Look what Papa Lopez has been saying about what we're going to do to change the sport and what we're doing for every fighter out there by going with Trilla and firing Bob and blah, 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 blah. And now they're crawling back on hands and knees. Now they're
crawling back like that father especially should not be talking for his son.
Now,
and I think even Teofimo knows that.
Yeah, so but he can't tell him, right? He can't tell him to shut up because he's his father.
Right, because his father would be like, "Oh, he strikes me as that type of dad."
I used to wipe your ass when you were a kid.
I used to clean you. I took care of you. I could have killed you at one point if I wanted to. Yeah. No, there's fathers that do that, man. There's fathers that do that. So, I let you live. And you're like, what do you mean? Well, you were at one point. You were smaller than me, right? You're still living, right? Yeah, I let you live.
Oh, that's a pretty shitty thing to say, man.
I recognize this point at this stage off of what we've seen in the last two fights, because you're only as good as your last fight. Both Andrade and Charlo kind of gassed a little bit in the later sections of their fights against lesser competition. Yes. Now, I imagine they're going to be in much better shape, much better condition, much more zoned and keyed in if they ever fight each other. But you have to start wondering at 31 and 33 years old, respectively, especially with 33 for Andrade, because I do believe he had quite an amateur career, whereas I don't think Charlo had
a very good one too. Very good one.
But I don't think Charlo had over 100 amateur fights, and less than 100 tends to preserve you a little bit longer. Look at Floyd; he didn't have 100, and he had 50 fights and went over 17 or over 20 years. Right. Whereas De La Hoya and Mosley had 300 amateur fights, and they were already starting to slip at 32. They still had good moments, but they were definitely not the same fighter at 32 years old.
Slipping, yeah. You're totally right about these guys who have these long amateur. I'm not saying look, Golovkin at 39 is pretty good, right? This is a guy who had over 300 fights as an amateur as well.
40 professional fights and is 40 years old.
Right, and he's probably gonna, obviously he's gonna fight until he's 40 because he turns 40 next year. So I'm pretty sure he's got a couple of more fights. So he might be an exception, but you can still see some slippage on him. It's not that bad. The slippage is not terrible. Nobody's fucking him up or anything like that, but at least not yet. But yeah, there is something to say. There is something to say about guys that have had long amateur careers and their gas tank as they become pros.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at Lennox Lewis versus Evander Holyfield. Holyfield had quite an amateur career. Lennox Lewis also didn't have 100 amateur fights. Right. Lennox Lewis was 35 years old and still getting better. Holyfield was 35 and repeat, whether it was due to certain vitamins.
This is why, Jay, this is why I love boxing, man. Amateur and boxing could be a two different ball game. Like a professional boxing, excuse me, no headgear. Well, they don't use headgears now. But you get what I'm saying. Like the amateur and boxing is like so different, man. Yes, what you learn as an amateur can pay off in professional fights. You just never
fundamentals.
know how that shit's gonna fucking work out. You just don't know how it's gonna work out.
No, but the prolonged damage of being in the ring as a child, and sometimes you're fighting grown men once you're open. You can be 17 years old fighting the 28, 29-year-old man. So you're a boy man at a similar weight class, and he's probably sweating down a hell of a lot more than you are. Now you're wearing bigger gloves, you're wearing headgear, but you got to spar for these fights. You got to train for these fights. Most fights go the distance, and in tournaments, you're fighting at least 3 fights a night at 3 rounds apiece. You're fighting. You're fighting almost 9 to 10 rounds in a tournament. So this is what you're doing throughout your amateur career for over 100 fights, all the way up to you turn pro, and then you're doing it again. It adds up when you get over that 100 fight mark. Seems to be that one where I notice guys, they'll have this big bright career early, and then once they hit right around anywhere between 29 to 32, you'll start to notice a distinct slip.
Yep,
and noticeable. They may still be able to ride long because they're great athletes and they're professionals, but by then they're relying on skills and their muscle memory and everything they've trained over the years versus their youth athleticism and their explosiveness. They're relying on other tools that they've developed.
Well,
Charlo has this to last a little bit longer because I don't think he even had 80. He did. I just think maybe 80. He had less than 90 from what I saw in BoxRec. Okay, so he should have a little bit more left in the tank. Andrade, I'm pretty sure, had over 100 amateur fights, and he's 33. So now, which one's going to run out of gas first before they start to actually fight someone? And to me, I'm putting my money on Andrade to run out of gas first.
Yeah, I was going to say that Andrade, because of the style, he relies on speed and his movement, and when that starts dwindling, so will his performances. Charlo, I got to tell you, I'm a little bit disappointed, or very disappointed rather, in the showing on Saturday, because he was starting to get me back onto his hype train, because he'd done very well. I know people don't like to give him credit for his performance against Hogan, but I liked it because he chased Hogan down and put him down and kept him down, whereas Munguia could barely land a glove on Hogan. I mean, he landed a couple of big shots, and that's what they gave him the decision, but Charlo put him out. And then when he fought Derevyanchenko, look, people can say, well, Derevyanchenko was old, blah, 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 but he was still a heck of a fighter, and Charlo beat him decisively. Then he takes on this Montiel fella, and looks like trash. I gotta tell you, I don't know what to make of it. I'll chalk it up to a bad night. Yeah, go ahead, Jimmy.
I think it also shows more, it lays more credence to what a lot of people were saying. That fight with Triple G he beat fucking Derevyanchenko's career out of him. Like, he was never going to be the same. Like that, he was never going to fight at that level again. He took a lot of fucking, I guarantee he had some brain swelling at the end of that fight.
Jimmy, I said that right after the fight. I said that dude looked like he took a beating. Yes, I understand he gave him a good fight, and some people feel he won. But look at him. He looks like he lost, and he lost something bigger than an L on his record. He lost a part of his longevity.
It takes it out of you. It beats the warrior out of you. And I think like what BDA said, and I think either BDA or Buccio said, elite fighters take out the trash. No disrespect to Montel. It is what it is. They would talk about these guys Triple G were fighting. Okay, fine. Bang, I go in there. He go in there rather than blow him out in 3 rounds. He would do what he was supposed to do against that type of odds. Anytime the odds were, and I don't even think he fought, maybe it was one guy that wanted to do with the odds were that bad. I mean, most predictions, you go through it, most guys had him picked by like 3rd round knockout. It was crazy, the picks people going for Charlo. So, absolutely, I think it just pros more credence to that. Derevyanchenko was spent when he fought Charlo because, look, we just saw what happened when you take this kid a little deep. And when you're turning, I'll tell you right now, as a fighter, someone's been in there. I'm not saying it's me. I'm just saying I've been around this a long time. Anytime a fighter starts complaining, looking to the ref for help, something's not right. And he did that 3 or 4 times. He turned to the ref for help. Hit me in the back of the head. Ref, what are you doing? You see that? Something's up.
I mean, think about it, guys. Think about it. Charlo's best wins are over an undersized and chinny Julian Williams. Don't get me wrong, it's still a good win, but it's nothing that makes you go, whoa, Canelo better and Triple G better watch out. And Derevyanchenko, who people can make the good argument that was a spent bullet going in there. So
he was coming off a loss coming into that fight.
Yeah.
So you're right. He was a little bit of a spent fighter at that point.
You know what I think they're gonna do? I think I think Charlo has to be too. He has to be aggressive. Jeez, Luis. Sorry about that. I think Charlo has to be pissed off with his management, but like Jimmy always says, he can't say anything publicly about it, but he must be pissed. Look, they put him in there in a lose-lose situation. If he would have blown Montiel out in 3 rounds, people would have gone, well, that's what he's supposed to do. The worst case scenario, though, was what happened Saturday, which was, well, actually, no, the worst case scenario would have been a loss, but this was almost just as bad. He's struggling against this guy. He was supposed to take him out in 5 rounds. Now the narrative that I'm hearing is, and Butcher told me this too, he heard this, people are going, well, if Charlos is so bad, why won't Canelo fight him? But I'm thinking, wait a minute, if that's your argument, because you can make that argument. Any guy out there can call out Canelo. I can call out Canelo, and he doesn't fight me. If I'm so easy, if we're so easy, why won't Canelo fight? Like, what's the incentive for Canelo to fight Charlo? Is he a big draw?
Do me a favor, call Steve Kim and tell him that I want to fight Canelo.
I'm on it. I'm on it.
And a lot of people online, dude. A lot of the narrative was, what's wrong with him getting rounds? What's wrong with getting rounds? Everybody was saying he was just trying to get rounds.
You know what? You want to know something, Jimmy? Okay, that's fine. I'm cool with that. Get some rounds in, but don't almost get fucking dropped. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Against a guy that if he did this to Triple G, oh my God, they're the same people that are defending Charlo would be ragdolling him. Like, even if Triple G beat this dude's ass for 12 rounds, dropped him a couple of times, but the guy didn't get stopped, oh, Triple G's he's a hype job, like I've always said.
But everyone's going to do that when towards their favorite. Right? Everyone's got. I mean, look, I try to keep it as objective as possible because I'm on multiple chat sites when I'm putting stuff out there. So I do my best to be objective because people will call me out, and I don't want to be a hypocrite. But everyone has their favorites, and everyone leans towards their favorites, and they defend their favorites to the death. I'm not upset with that, but just look at yourself in the mirror and acknowledge the fact that you're doing that. That's all there is to it. Because like Rick and I said, if it was Triple G doing that and you're a pro Charlo and you think that Triple G's been ducking Charlo, which is beyond BS because they've never sent him a contract that anyone knows of, then at least acknowledge the fact that that's what you're making these excuses for your guy because you didn't like the way he performed. Okay, no big deal, no harm, no foul. You're human, just like the rest of us. But at the end of the day, the bottom line is this was not an impressive performance. Now Charlo tried his ass off. He really did.
He did.
And he tried very hard against a game opponent who, for the record, was 22 wins and 22 knockouts. Now, they may have been 22 people that have never been world championship caliber fighters, but if you're knocking out 22 people and all of your wins, then...
Oh, his power's legit.
You're going to stun somebody if you hit him right.
Of course.
So
look at the side of his face. Charlo's face was dinged the fuck up. And it's weird, too, because Montel doesn't even throw punches correctly. And he's still, that goes to show he's a natural, powerful kid. He's probably got big thighs.
So I'm wondering if, so my friend pointed out, changing the subject slightly, but staying on point, kind of. Montiel had nothing but Montiels in his corner, and he's from the bloodline of Fernando Montiel. From what I've heard, don't quote me on that, but I think he is. So the Montiel Mexican family is probably a fight family all the way through. And so there's a lot of boxing blood, but I'm wondering if the quality of training, if he would have had a Nacho Beristain early in his career, would we have heard of him? Well, I mean, if you're 22-0, I mean, not 22-0, but 22 wins and 22 knockouts, with your own family training you, that's probably taking you as far as you can go. What would have happened if you probably would have had a real trainer? Like Charlo has with, what's his name again?
Ronnie Shields.
Yeah, Ronnie Shields. Ronnie Shields is a legit world-class trainer and taking him as far as he can go. No one's going to take him any further than what Shields has done. What could Monte have possibly done if he had the same thing?
Yeah, that's a good point, man. That's a good point because again, you gotta, any time like that when Warrington fought Lozano, what was the name of the guy he lost to? Anyway, I forget the Mexican. I remember going to that fight. I looked at his fights, the Mexican fights. I said, okay, he might not be as skilled as Warrington. He might not have that resume, but he can crack. Because anytime you're knocking out a bunch of people, whether it's in Argentina, Mexico, the Philippines, those guys may not be as good as some of the opposition in the United States, but if you can crack, you can crack. I'll give you an example. There's guys here coming up in Canada who are very skilled, and their records, 18 wins, 5 knockouts. These guys can crack. Yeah. So they can fight a Mexican that's not as skilled, but that Mexican is going to hit harder. Even though the opposition might have been different, the other guy can still crack. So punching power, it seems it's a tricky thing to judge sometimes. But just be assured that if a guy's knocking out bombs, that assume that he can crack a little bit, at least a little bit, more than
when I've done sparring, and I fought a guy that had some power, I could still feel that power behind those gloves. That takes a lot of energy out of you. It takes a lot of fucking energy out of you. You got to be in real good condition to beat that. So, yeah, sometimes a guy is not as fluid in punching as you, right? You can maybe let off more shots, but he can make up for that with let's say for every 2 to 3 punches you throw, he has that kind of effect in one punch. That makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Makes a big.
And
yeah.
Go, brother.
No, go ahead, Jimmy. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say with Charlo, what I couldn't understand. I was watching the fight. I'm like, what the fuck, man? Why aren't you fainting? Like, get him when someone does that, brings their hands up high, right? You can feint them to like bring them down. Like, what you do is like. He never feinted like he was going to go to the body. First off, he wasn't going to the body offense, so it wasn't like you'd be able to buy the feints. But if someone's doing that, you feint the left hook to the body, and then when he drops his hands a little, you come up to the head, or you slap his hand down with your right, and you come in, or you sidestep and you throw a hook around the guard. He wasn't trying to do any of that. He kept trying to punch through his fucking glove. So it goes to show you, he's pretty much got he's got almost a one-trick pony. He's got that fucking come off the jab and the right cross.
But I'll tell you,
knowing how to feint is so fucking important, man.
Oh, dude, it's awesome.
I mean, because what is feinting for? I'm trying to figure out your reaction time. I'm trying to get down your reaction time. So if you do the 1-2, mix up a feint here and there, you'll see how it works for you. But some guys, I don't know, they just abandoned that, or maybe they don't need it.
Mentally exhausting too for the fucking dude you're doing it to. So that's how Loma fucking tires people out. The feints, because he does everything off the feints differently too. He won't feint and then do something and then feint and do it again. Now he's gonna feint, go the opposite direction. So he's got, you know what I mean? It's tiring.
Canelo too. Canelo feints a lot, and he and especially because it works for him because he hits hard too. So he'll whack guys to the body, to the elbows, and they feel it. So then he'll feint as if he's going to the body, and the guys are going to react because they felt those initial shots. So it just becomes much easier to feint too when you're a puncher, because then you can just whack a guy anywhere in the body. And
he feinted the shit out of fucking Saunders, bro. Remember a few times he got Saunders to bite, put his hands down, caught him with a shot, feinted like he was going upstairs with his right, and then just whipped a fucking quick left to his gut. Yeah, no, Canelo can feint good. He's real good at feinting.
Well, listen, fellas, we're going to end it here. We're at the 2-hour mark. We'll talk another episode later this week about Barrios versus Tank Davis, because I do think that this is a difficult fight for Davis. I'm not saying he loses, but he's up there against a guy who's taller, longer, fast, and he can crack. And if Santa Cruz was able to tee off on Davis, I can't imagine Barrios not hitting him flush during this fight. So
did you watch Barrios' last fight, brother? I mean, did
yes.
you watch that fight against? Oof. I thought he lost that fight against the Russian kid with 7 fights, or the Turkish kid.
But that was actually the fight before his
last fight before.
Was,
but
right.
I saw some things in there, dude. If he does anything like that, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna be the fucking. I know, because that's what you're saying, dude. Everybody's saying that. They think this might be a tough test. I'm going to go out, and I could end up being completely wrong, but I think Tank walks through this kid. I think he blows him out.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Tank's going to impress here, because, like I said, we have been hard on him about not making weight and everything. He was 19 years old when he first burst onto the scene. He's 26. He probably should have met this weight a long time ago. We're probably going to see the fact he probably makes it comfortably. Whether he takes one-punch knockout power with him or not, I don't know. But I think his strength, I don't think his speed's going to sacrifice it. Overall speed, maybe. But hand speed, I don't think is going to sacrifice. Because I think this is a weight he probably should have been at a while. That's why he probably missed 135. It's not necessarily just because he's not dedicated, which I'm not going to question that. That's his tag right now until he proves us otherwise. But maybe he should have been at this weight a long time ago. He's closer to 30 than he is to 20.
See, that's a very interesting. That's why I'm looking forward to this fight, because you got different points of view. You got some people saying Tank is gonna walk through this guy, and then you got other people who are saying, well, actually, it's going to be a difficult fight. So we're going to be watching. It shouldn't be pay-per-view. I think we can all agree on that. But it is an intriguing fight on paper, and I'm looking forward to see what happens with that one, man. And I think we should talk about it.
And Ellaby, just real quick, that fucking dude is, what an ass. Seriously, he's embarrassed himself. I go on Twitter now just to see this shit. He's arguing with people. Now one of his things, he's when somebody said, "Well, you realize this isn't because he's pushing the world title, jumping up 2-class world," and the guy, everybody's coming at him with, "No, you mean junior title? It's not a well. Is that what you said about? Is that what people said about Canelo? Was it a fake?" It's like conflation and whataboutism is the only thing this dude. If you're promoting your fighter by arguing with everybody on Twitter, and now he actually let out a statement 2 days ago that the press is going to be forced, whether they like it or not, to give this kid his props. Like, he sees it. This it's getting a lot of pushback, pay-per-view and calling it a world title. I think people are getting tired of 6 years of the same thing. Dude hasn't faced a real opponent in 4 years, over 4 years.
Jeez, Louise, that's. I mean, look, Barrios.
That's
I think
Pedraza.
it's a good fight, though. I think it's an interesting fight. I don't think Barrios. I mean, look, Akhmedov. People say, well, he's stronger than Akhmedov, but Akhmedov is not that bad, man. He's another one of those Eastern Europeans that was rushed early because he's already got a lot of experience and he's already quite up there in age, so they don't want to waste time with him. So I don't know if Tank Davis is going to look impressive. It's going to be just walking through barriers, and that means that he's carrying the weight well. If not, he's going to have to work hard to get that win, man, because Akhmedov threw almost 1,000 shots. I don't know if Tank Davis has the punching power that he can just land a couple of shots here and there and break this guy down. So I'm looking forward to this fight. I'm interested to see. And then, of course, you got Lomachenko.
Are you paying $75?
No, sorry, Bob. No, sorry, Bob. I ain't paying that. $70. I mean, look, the card ain't bad, though, Jimmy. The card ain't bad, but $70, especially when we got Lomachenko fighting.
But they're advertising him as it's a pay-per-view because he's the 4th largest ticket seller in the United States, or they use nebulous terms like the most exciting fighter in boxing. Like, dude, are you serious? That's, you know what I mean? Like, just they're not tangible, real things because it's not a real title. It is a step up. It's the best competition he's fought in forever. But still, if you wanted to test yourself and chase glory, fight one of the world champions. Fight Ramirez. Fight Lopez. Fight the fucking kid who said he wanted to fight you fucking a couple of years ago where he said he'd fight him at 140. Prograis. He's with PBC. They could have made that fight if you really want to chase glory. This kid is pretty much an unknown prospect, who's in the top 10 because he got a gift decision. It's been the same fucking thing, and they just try to change it. So again, I'm being hard on Tank, but because I'm not saying it could be his promotion, but I just don't buy it. I don't buy the hype with this fucking other kid. I think there's a reason they picked him. That's just me.
You could be right, man. You could be right, or it could be a miscalculation too. I mean, I don't know. Look, I'm looking forward to it, man, just to see what happens.
I'm sure you'll let me know.
Well, listen, if he blows to Barrios, then it becomes a lot more intriguing too, because he can say, "Hey, I moved up to 140, took on a legit guy who's got hand speed and power. Now he's got something to brag about." You know what I mean? Because before that, who was he? Gamboa, and who was the last? Santa Cruz. I mean, come on, that ain't exactly a murderer's row. So he's got a little leverage if he looks impressive. I think. But anyway, listen, fellas.
Where does he go after that? Oh yeah, you're going. That's right. You want to fucking cut it short.
Oh, come on, Jimmy, don't do it. Don't say it like that. What's the matter with you?
Busting your stones, dude, for 2 hours.
No. You know what? Let's go another 2 hours then. You got it to me, man. Peer pressure.
No, brother. Hey, listen, I'm just busting stones, man. Thanks for having me on, brother.
This shit right here ain't cool, dog.
What's that?
Oh, that wasn't me.
Jack says you got a great big cock.
Oh, hold on a second. Now somebody's playing random shit here.
You don't know anything.
My pussy hurts.
Oh, okay. You know what? We're going to leave. All right, listen, fellas, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Gonzalo, King Bucho, where he left as well, both guys. Chief, Jimmy, recognize everyone who called in, everyone who donated. Don't forget, we're going to keep on doing this Barrios versus Tank Davis. I don't know if we're going to do a little film analysis just to break it down a little bit. And also, we're going to continue with the Usyk breakdowns, because we watched some clips from the Chisora fight. Now I want to see some clips of him against Joyce and Fa, who were tall, big heavyweights, just like Joshua. And Usyk fought a much different fight there, even though it was 8 years ago, but it was still an interesting fight. So we're going to take a look at those clips. We're going to continue covering the potential Usyk-Joshua fight. And that's about it, fellas. Thank you for joining us. Everybody in the chat, Javis Bickle, Ryan Jamerson, Guerrero de la Info, Reverend Pickles. Oh, there's two Reverends? No, there's only one. Kenshiro, The Quags, Jestro. Hold on a second. Like I said, everyone who donated, Guerrero de la Info, Mad Dog H, Jarvis Bickle, G. Chavis, The Quags, Amak PvP, Uncle Burnt Apostrophe, Jay Martinez, Travis Bickle, anybody else who I forgot, we're going to go, but thank you guys for joining us. Really appreciate it. Catch you on the next one. Don't forget to hit the like button on the way out. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. We'll catch you in the next one, fellas.
Disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.